Chapter 438. Yu Tianhao's appearance attracted the attention of the entire sacred true dragon gathering. After all, he had entered the most ancient and mysterious heaven's legacy inheritance. Furthermore, Yu Tianhao was a prodigy that had suppressed dozens of generations in the Azure Flower continent, and no one had been able to shake his position in two sacred true dragon gatherings. Only Zhao Feng and a few others had the ability to fight him. It's indeed worthy of being the heaven's legacy inheritance. In just a short 2 months, Yu Tianhao has reached the early stage True Lord rank from the peak True Mystic rank. It's hard to estimate Yu Tianhao's increase in strength. Even the True Lord ranks of the older generation probably aren't his match. The experts of the older generation felt the change in Yu Tianhao's aura. Yu Tianhao's eyes were bright like the stars in the night sky, and gave off a powerful intent. Even the true lord ranks of the older generation couldn't look directly at him. The 9 sovereigns of the Sacred Alliance looked expectantly at Yu Tianhao. The most ancient and mysterious heaven's legacy inheritance was something that even sovereigns rarely had the fortune to enter during the sacred true dragon gathering. How? Purposely suppressed his cultivation before the sacred true dragon gathering, and now that he's reached the early stage True Lord rank, it's a small surprise. With a smile on his face, Yu Xingqin's body flickered, and in the blink of an eye, he was next to Yu Tianhao. In just a short 2 months, Yu Tianhao had reached the early stage True Lord rank from the peak True Mystic rank. This speed was unimaginable. However, Yu Tianhao had entered the heaven's legacy inheritance, and his cultivation was comparable to the True Lord rank. How? It's already a great fortune that you were able to return from the heaven's legacy inheritance. What did you gain? Yu Xingqin cared about Yu Tianhao's gains the most. There were only 3 main gains after coming out of the inheritances of the Outer Realm. The first was an inherited cultivation technique, obtaining a certain lineage's inheritance system, or the legacy of a certain ancient almighty being. The second was the inheritance of divine weapons and treasures, including some extinct treasures of the Azure Flower continent. Many treasures of the outer world would cause a storm if they entered the continent. The third would be some special encounters that would allow one's cultivation, talent, strength, and other aspects to improve and transform. As soon as he finished speaking, a layer of mysterious and translucent mist surged out from Yu Xingqin's body and enveloped him and Yu Tianhao. Enveloped by the transparent light mist, even venerables of the same level would find it difficult to eavesdrop on their conversation. The people outside could only see Yu Tianhao and his father conversing in low voices. Even their silhouettes were blurry. Even if they could read lips, they would not be able to make out what they were saying. However, Venerable Yu Xingqin's face was filled with joy again and again, which made the others certain that Yu Tianhao had gained a great fortune in the heaven's legacy inheritance. Every time the heavenly fortune inheritance descends, it changes the situation of the continent. Since Yu Tianhao was able to enter the heaven's legacy inheritance and return with success, there's a high chance that he will leave a bright mark in the history of the continent. The bronze-skinned vice palace master had a look of praise and expectation on his face. So. At this time, a few figures from the 10,000 Origin sect quickly closed in on Yu Xingqin. Yu Xingqin's expression dimmed as a powerful aura made the true lord ranks of the 10,000 Origin clan unable to breathe. Sovereign, please calm down. We're elders of the 10,000 Origin clan, and we have something to ask you, Tianhao. An elder at the half-step Origin core realm said respectfully. 10,000 Origin clan? Yu Xingqin murmured these words and felt that they were familiar. He seemed to think of the past glory of this clan and some experts, and his expression softened. The 10,000 Origin clan strength was only below the heavenly Yuan clan in the northern continent. Yu Xingqin and the vice palace master didn't even need to think to guess that the 10,000 Origin clan had come to find Xian Wuing. Apart from Yu Tianhao, there was another genius that entered the heaven's legacy inheritance, and that was Xian Wuing. I only saw Xian Wuing once in the inheritance, and I don't know where he went. Yu Tianhao said. He had sparred with Xian Wuheng before, and the latter gave him a mysterious and unfathomable feeling. However, the geniuses that entered the Heaven's Legacy inheritance weren't limited to the Azure Flower continent. There were geniuses from other continents as well. Hearing Yu Tianhao's reply, the expressions of the elders of the 10,000 Origin clan became dim. If one didn't come out after entering the inheritance, there was a high chance that something would happen. Xian Wuheng might have died. Yu Tianhao didn't beat around the bush. The expressions of those from the 10,000 Origin clan became even uglier as they became dejected and dejected. However, according to the news I received from the Heaven's Legacy inheritance, there's another small possibility. The geniuses that enter the Heaven's Legacy inheritance have a small chance of entering a higher-ranked Heaven's Legacy inheritance. Yu Tianhao said hesitantly. The Heavenly Legacy inheritance was a famous great inheritance in the world. It divided the main inheritance into countless branches of various sizes, which shone everywhere in the world. Of course, the chance that Yu Tianhao spoke of was extremely small and could even be considered a legend. At least in the history of the Azure Flower continent, there had never been such an example. Although the elders of the 10,000 Origin clan had a sliver of hope, they didn't have much hope and left. Sacred True Dragon Gathering. 2 months later, there were many true dragon geniuses that came out from the inheritances. In the same inheritance, some geniuses could return, but there were also some who met with accidents in the Outer Realm inheritances. In 2.5 months, the overwhelming prodigies, Shi, Chantian, Goddess Bingwei, and Tantai Lanhua all appeared and had made good progress. Amongst them, Goddess Bingwei returned from the Mystic Ice inheritance and had broken through to the True Lord rank, just below Yu Tianhao. The Heaven's Legacy inheritance and Mystic Ice inheritance had both ended. Soon, Song Yue returned from the Seven Sword inheritance with a piercing sword aura. Her cultivation was close to the True Lord rank, and the sword intent radiating from her could even pressure the True Lord ranks present. Of the 4 great inheritances of the Azure Flower continent, the Seven Sword inheritance was just below the Heaven's Legacy inheritance. The sword Saint Yi Wuxia had entered the Seven Sword inheritance. When 3 months had passed, all the inheritances that connected to the Azure Flower continent had ended. Around half of the geniuses had returned from the inheritances. Prince Jin, Wang Xiaoguai, Tian Yunji, and company from the Canopy Great Country all appeared. However, Zhao Feng and Lu Qinxin hadn't returned from the inheritances. Excel. In a corner of the sacred True Dragon Gathering, the flooding Lake City Lord's eyebrows were furrowed as worry appeared on his face. The inheritance that Lu Qinxin had entered wasn't a major inheritance, but a special Sky Saint Qin inheritance. Of the entire sacred True Dragon Gathering, only she had entered this inheritance. Of the 100 true dragon geniuses, Lu Qinxin wasn't very outstanding. She hadn't returned from the inheritance, and the sovereigns of the Sacred Alliance didn't pay attention to her. According to logic, Lu Qinxin had most likely met with an accident. All the inheritances have ended. However, there's still no news from the unknown inheritance that Zhao Feng and Zhao Yufei entered. The sovereigns of the Sacred Alliance paid close attention to this. Zhao Feng and company had entered an unknown inheritance that was even stronger than the Heaven's Legacy inheritance. However, almost 3 months had passed, and neither Zhao Feng nor Zhao Yufei had come out. With Zhao Feng's eye bloodline, his ability to survive should be extremely strong. The sovereigns discussed in low tones. Zhao Feng was the Black Horse King of this sacred True Dragon Gathering, the new overwhelming prodigy. In this glorious era, only he could compete with Yu Tianhao. However, this Black Horse King that had created miracles hadn't appeared after entering the unknown inheritance for so long. Zhao Feng, could it be that your miracle ends here? The Iron Blood Religion Deputy Patriarch murmured. He had witnessed Zhao Feng's growth and didn't believe that he would die so easily. Even the sovereigns all agreed that Zhao Feng's ability to survive was extremely strong. Zhao Feng, who had the God Spiritual, I might not be able to beat Yu Tianhao, but his ability to survive was definitely stronger. The 5 overwhelming prodigies had all appeared. Only Zhao Feng hadn't returned from the inheritance. Regarding this, the sovereigns of the Sacred Alliance, the elders of the continent, and the geniuses all paid close attention. This Zhao Feng might just be a shooting star in the long river of history. Many experts of the older generation sighed lightly. The older generation, had witnessed too many ups and downs, and they had seen many dazzling geniuses who had died prematurely. As time passed, the number of people in the sacred True Dragon gathering became fewer and fewer. The peak gathering several months ago started to die down. At the end, only a small number of people, such as the Flooding Lake City Lord and the Iron Blood Religion Deputy Patriarch, were unwilling to leave. However, Zhao Feng, Lu Qinxin, and Xian Wuheng didn't return to the sacred True Dragon gathering. Looks like Yu Fei has probably met with misfortune. The upper echelon of the Heavenly Yuan clan sighed in pity. How is this possible? Yu Fei has the legendary bloodline of the 10,000 ancient races flowing in her body. Dao's sovereign Baiyun of the Heavenly Yuan clan was filled with doubt and disbelief. He was Zhao Yufei's master. He was full of confidence and expectations for his disciple. He even guarded this secret in his heart. However, after such a long time, the sacred True Dragon gathering had ended, but Zhao Yufei still hadn't returned. Grand Elder, the sacred True Dragon gathering has ended. When will you go back? A half-step origin core realm elder of the Heavenly Yuan clan asked respectfully. You guys go back first. I'll wait a few more days. Dao's sovereign Baiyun closed his eyes and waved his hand. Mo Qiani of the Heavenly Yuan clan wanted to say something, but sighed in his heart. Zhao Feng, Sister Yu Fei, I didn't think the two of you would be lost in an unknown inheritance. Until now, no one believed that Zhao Feng or Zhao Yufei could return. The Azure Flower continent knew about the Heaven's Legacy inheritance and the Seven Sword inheritance. However, Zhao Feng and Yu Fei had entered an unknown inheritance that even the experts of the Sacred Alliance didn't know about. Dao's sovereign Baiyun, I'm sorry for your loss. One of the sovereigns shook his head. Deputy Patriarch, when will we return to the great country? Zhao Feng has probably already entered the unknown inheritance. A protector of the Iron Blood Religion said, We'll wait for the last 3 days. Chapter 439. Let's wait for the last 3 days. Tiamo's voice was low as he scanned the ancient arena. The entire arena was empty and deathly silent. The towering stone statues in the surroundings were completely silent and dark. The original charm and invisible spiritual energy no longer existed. Apart from Tiamo, the Flooding Lake City Lord didn't leave. The Grand Elder of the Heavenly Yuan clan, Dao's sovereign White Cloud, sighed with his eyes closed. The majority of the sovereigns of the Sacred Alliance had left to discuss how to deal with the Scarlet Moon demonic religion. 3 days passed in the blink of an eye. Only half of the 100 True Dragon geniuses left unscathed. Whether it was Xian Wuheng who entered the Heaven's Legacy inheritance, Zhao Feng and Zhao Yufei who entered the unknown inheritance, or Lu Qinxin who entered the Sky Saint Qin inheritance, none of them reappeared. Let's go. Blood-haired Tiamat left the ancient arena with deep regret and regret. In the end, the Sacred Alliance closed the ancient arena and dismissed everyone. The most prosperous sacred True Dragon gathering had come to an end with the departure of the person. Maybe many years later, there would still be people talking about the glory of this sacred True Dragon gathering. But it was more likely that as time passed, the world would gradually forget the prodigies of this sacred True Dragon gathering. However, was it really over? In a desolate and ancient palace far away in the relic space, in his line of sight, ancient and dilapidated stone statues and ancient tablets stood towering in the desolate hall, as if they were telling the legends of the past. There were around 100 of these stone tablets, and they contained an aura similar to the stone statues in the ancient arena, but they were more real and could be sensed. In a certain corner of the palace was a stone statue that was 10 yards tall. This stone statue was a demonic girl with a pair of wings on her back. There was a dark demonic moon on her forehead and a scarlet-black moon flame around her body. There were a few words at the foot of the demonic girl statue. Moon Demon Empress. The Moon Demon Empress was a famous void god realm emperor of the Moon Demon Palace 10,000 years ago. Her inheritance is indeed extraordinary. I have studied it for more than 2 months and only managed to absorb half of it. Zhuang Wan'er's face was filled with joy. Even a virtual god realm had different levels. At least on the Tianlu Islands, the pure moon spiritual sect and the other 2-star sects had not heard of any nihility god realm that could be crowned with the title of emperor. Zhuang Wan'er's eyes flickered as she looked towards the center of the hall. She was able to enter this desolate hall because of one person. In the center of the hall, there were 4 taller and more majestic stone statues. They emitted an invisible spiritual will that seemed to pierce through time and space. One of the majestic statues had a few words written on it: Wind Lightning Emperor. A blue-haired youth sat in front of the statue that represented the Wind Lightning Emperor. His left eye would occasionally open, and it was cold and sharp like a blade of lightning. Zhao Feng, I didn't think you'd receive the Wind Thunder Emperor's inheritance so quickly. Back then, the Wind Lightning Emperor was known as the fastest emperor, and his battle strength was unrivaled. Even Master Z Yi let him escape several times. A female's voice sounded in his mind. A blurry scene appeared in Zhao Feng's mind. 2 unimaginable forces clashed in the limitless ocean. One of them was surrounded by a dragon of lightning that devoured heaven and earth. Every time the figure flashed, it could cross 1,000 miles. Every time it waved its hand, heaven and earth would flip as if it was a god. The other figure, surrounded by a dreamy purple light, had a blurry figure that looked like the purple Saint Partial Spirit. Its cultivation was even higher, and it started a shocking battle with the Wind Lightning figure. Finally, due to the difference in cultivation, the Wind Lightning figure turned into a beam of light that pierced through the limitless ocean and successfully escaped. The Wind Lightning Emperor is indeed worthy of being the fastest emperor. He can fight those with higher cultivation and even escape from the Purple Knight's Sacred Lord. Zhao Feng slowly stood up. This was the 2nd floor of the Purple Saint Treasure Palace, the legendary Treasure Palace. In the legendary Treasure Palace, every ancient stone tablet represented a legend in the past. Because Zhao Feng comprehended the laws of lightning, he chose the Wind Lightning Emperor's inheritance. Using his own comprehension of the laws of lightning and the god's spiritual eyes learning ability, he finally received the recognition of a wisp of the remnant spirit within the stone tablet. Every stone tablet in the legendary Treasure Palace contained a wisp of partial spirit intent, similar to the purple Saint Partial Spirit. However, their intelligence wasn't high, and they only had a sliver of will left. Even if the Void God Realm kings and emperors died, their wills still existed in heaven and earth and could last for many years. In the dimension of his left eye, the 3-story building that represented the lightning inheritance shattered and disappeared. In its place was a broken ancient tablet with a layer of electric ripples lingering on it. It contained the Wind Thunder Emperor's comprehension of the profound of wind and thunder when he was alive. At this point in time, the entire Wind Lightning Stone tablet was dead silent, and the brightness wasn't even 1%. In just 2 months, I've obtained the Wind Lightning Emperor's inheritance, but I haven't even comprehended 1% of it. Zhao Feng exited from his comprehension with a tired expression. The lightning inheritance that he had comprehended in the past wasn't even 1% of the Wind Lightning Emperor's inheritance in terms of profoundness. It was hard to imagine how terrifying the Wind Lightning Emperor's battle power was when he was at his peak. There were 4 tallest stone tablets in the legendary Treasure Palace, and the other 3 were mystic light realms like the Purple Knight Sacred Lord. They were only 1 step away from the heavenly divine realm. From this, one could see how unique the Wind Lightning Emperor was for it to be able to stand side by side with the other 3 stone tablets. The reason why Zhao Feng chose this inheritance was because it was suitable. He didn't choose the ice element inheritance because he was worried that the god spiritual eye would change the element of his bloodline. Once the element of his bloodline changed, there would be no point for Zhao Feng to choose the ice, water, and lightning inheritance. However, The wind-lightning inheritance didn't have this problem. Zhao Feng's comprehension of the Tao of wind and the Tao of lightning had been established a long time ago. Meow meow. On the other side of the desolate hall, the little thieving cat's body was hanging on an uneven stone wall. There was a dark, transparent dagger embedded in one of the stone walls. The little thieving cat had sat in front of this dagger for 2 months and would occasionally wave its paws around. Jiang Wang, the dark, transparent dagger, suddenly turned into a blur and disappeared from the stone wall. Meow meow. The little thieving cat had a joyful expression as it tapped with its paw and put away the dark dagger. Zhao Feng looked at it and was slightly surprised, but it wasn't too late. How is this possible? It actually obtained this legendary weapon. The purple Saint Partial Spirit's voice contained a hint of panic. Shua. After the little thieving cat obtained the dark, transparent dagger, it suddenly flashed and landed on Zhao Feng's shoulder. Zhao Feng was slightly surprised. What kind of weapon did the little thieving cat obtain that even the purple Saint Partial Spirit was panicking? Furthermore, after obtaining that weapon, the little thieving cat's abilities seemed to have increased. It's about time. Zhao Feng nodded his head and left the stone tablet that had already dimmed. On the other side, Zhuang Wan'er wanted to chase after Zhao Feng, but she was hesitant. The speed at which she obtained the inheritance was far slower than Zhao Feng and the little thieving cat, so she still hadn't finished accepting it. Zhao Feng had the god's spiritual eye and received the wind-lightning inheritance, so his speed was even faster than Zhuang Wan'er's. Zhao Feng, there's an inheritance weapon in the southwest corner of the hall that might be suitable for your bloodline. The purple Saint Partial Spirit calmed herself down and warned. Although most of the purple Saint Partial Spirit's attention was on helping Zhao Yufei refine the purple Saint ruins, her understanding of the purple Saint ruins was unparalleled. Okay. Zhao Feng nodded his head and soon arrived at the northwest corner of the hall. Apart from the inheritances of skills, there were also inheritances of weapons and treasures. In the northwest corner, there was a rusty, broken shield, an ancient broken sword, and a dark blue crystal spear. The owners of these 3 weapons were at least at the Void God realm, or else their weapons wouldn't have been collected by the Purple Knight Sacred Lord. As soon as Zhao Feng got close, he felt the faint blue aura in his body move, and a cold aura spread across his body. This was Zhao Feng's bloodline aura, and even his god's spiritual eye twitched when it sensed it. Wang, the roar of a dragon came from the dark blue crystal spear, and a bone-chilling coldness rushed into Zhao Feng's soul. If it was a normal genius, even a true Lord Rank's mind would be frozen by this coldness. Even normal origin core realms wouldn't dare to face this coldness head-on. Jiang, the dark blue crystal spear flashed, and the figure of an ice dragon disappeared from the wall. Zhao Feng instinctively reached out and grabbed the dark blue crystal spear. This is the famous Ice Imperial Spear. It has been passed down for a long time. Its previous owners were basically above virtual god level. The purple Saint Partial Spirit's voice sounded. Zhao Feng immediately thanked her. The purple Saint Partial Spirit must have seen that the Ice Imperial Spear was extremely compatible with his bloodline, which was why she gave him such a hint. This meant that he had obtained the Wind Lightning Emperor's inheritance, and he had obtained the Ice Imperial Spear. He didn't lack anything else. This meant that Zhao Feng had obtained 2 inheritances at the same time. The Ice Imperial Spear also contained its previous owner's inheritance system. This inheritance divine weapon itself contained boundless ice and water profundities. The only unfortunate thing was that the grade of the Ice Imperial Spear had dropped, and its spirituality had disappeared. It was far from its peak. However, even then, this Ice Imperial Spear was more than 1,000 times more valuable than any of Zhao Feng's items. The 3-flowered treasured lotus, Luoho Bao, Water Moon God Peach Fan, and other items weren't very useful to Zhao Feng now. After all, Zhao Feng's current battle power was close to the late-stage True Lord rank and had surpassed the Water Moon Pirate. After obtaining a suitable inheritance, Zhao Feng left the legendary Treasure Palace and entered the purple Saint Treasure Palace according to the map in his mind as well as the purple Saint Partial Spirit's instructions. Third floor of the purple Saint Treasure Palace. In an elegant hall, a girl dressed in purple had a crystal key floating in front of her. She waved her jade-like hand, and threads of flame of true spirit entered the key. By her side was an ethereal ball of violet light that floated in midair and was assisting the violet-clothed young woman. At this moment, Zhao Feng stepped onto the third floor of the treasure palace. This was the inheritance of the Purple Knight, Sacred Lord. Zhao Feng, in order to avoid losing energy, the Purple Saint ruins will close soon. You can choose to cultivate here for a dozen years and protect Yufei. Of course, you can also choose to leave. The intangible purple Saint Partial Spirit slowly spoke. Chapter 440. Zhao Feng opened his god spiritual eye and scanned the dimension he was in and found some unstable elements. In order to maintain the inheritance, the purple Saint Partial Spirit and the purple Saint Partial Spirit would lose energy every second. This was especially so for the purple Saint Partial Spirit. She was the core of the purple Saint Ruin's intent, and after so many years, her intent was almost at the end of its life. Once the purple Saint Partial Spirit's power was used up, this ruins would become an ownerless dimension and a series of uncontrollable dangers would appear. At that time, the experts of the outside world would be able to enter and take over the ruins. Therefore, there were two choices in front of Zhao Feng. One, he could stay in the Purple Saint Ruins for 10 years. 2, he could return to the Azure Flower Continent. Zhao Feng, do you plan to stay in the ruins or leave? Although the Purple Saint Partial Spirit was in an illusory state, she had a noble aura. Her dreamy, beautiful eyes were filled with a trace of hope as she stared at the blue-haired youth in front of her. Being the controller of this dimension, the Purple Saint Partial Spirit knew Zhao Feng's performance very well. Although Zhao Feng's bloodline didn't belong to the 10,000 ancient races, his left I was definitely related to it. The Purple Saint Partial Spirit hoped that Zhao Feng and Zhao Yufei would be together and help the latter manage the Purple Saint Ruins. More than a dozen years is too long. Zhao Feng murmured in his heart as he reminisced. How many years did it take for him to go from the consolidated realm to the true spirit realm, comparable to the true Lord rank? At most, Zhao Feng had only been a martial disciple for 3 to 4 years. He wasn't even 18 yet. In many places, Zhao Feng's age wasn't even considered an adult. For Zhao Feng, more than a dozen years was too long. For Zhao Feng, 10 years was an endless amount of opportunities and possibilities. Furthermore, I can't disappoint First Elder's expectations. I wonder what my hometown, the Broken Moon clan, has fallen to. Thinking of this, Zhao Feng's expression became firm. He couldn't stay in the Purple Saint space for too long. I choose to return to the Green Flower Continent. Zhao Feng made a firm decision. After he made his decision, the Purple Saint Partial Spirit sighed with regret. If it was a normal expert, even an Origin Core Realm Sovereign, they wouldn't give up on such an opportunity. In the Purple Saint Ruins, the Heaven-Earth Yuan Qi was extremely pure, and there were countless treasures. Cultivating here was much faster than cultivating in the outside world. Zhao Feng was well aware of this. However, he still chose to return to the Green Flower Continent. The world is so vast, there might be even greater fortune than the Purple Saint Ruins. Relying too much on external things isn't real. Plus, I've gotten enough from the Purple Saint Ruins. Zhao Feng's will was firm, and his heart was as calm as still water. He was not swayed by the temptation of the relic space itself. Sister Purple Sage, please send brother Zhao Feng back to the Azure Flower Continent. There's also Yufei's wish there. Zhao Yufei opened her eyes, and the crystal key floating in front of her let out a low hum, causing a subtle change in the entire space of the ruins. Zhao Feng guessed that this crystal key was the core of the ruins. As long as she refined this crystal key, Zhao Yufei would be able to control the Purple Saint space. However, compared to the ruins, her cultivation was too weak. Okay, I need half a day to prepare. The Purple Saint Partial Spirit looked deeply at Zhao Yufei and didn't say anything else. Long ago, Zhao Yufei and the Purple Saint Partial Spirit had an agreement to let Zhao Feng choose and respect his choice. As expected, Zhao Feng chose to return to the Green Flower Continent. Logically speaking, Zhao Feng's choice also contained a sliver of Zhao Yufei's wish. However, there was a faint sense of loss in the depths of her heart. Brother Zhao Feng, I hope that when you return to the 13 countries, you can save the Lin Moon clan. If possible, tell the Grand Elder of the Heavenly Yuan clan, Dao Sovereign Bai Yun, that I'm fine. Zhao Yufei's eyes became slightly moist as she closed her eyes and focused on refining the crystal key. I promise. Zhao Feng nodded his head and felt slightly apologetic. He couldn't help Zhao Yufei refine and control the Purple Saint space, and he couldn't stay here for more than a decade. Zhao Feng sat cross-legged and waited for half a day before the ruins closed, and he returned to the Azure Flower Continent. Using this time, Zhao Feng went through his gains from the Purple Saint ruins. Among the gains were some Heaven Spirit treasures and ancient resources such as the life-returning grass. They were all priceless in the Azure Flower Continent. Compared to them, Zhao Feng's gains from the Water Moon Treasury weren't even worth mentioning. In terms of inheritances, Zhao Feng had obtained two. They were the Wind Lightning Emperor's inheritance and the Ice Imperial Spear's inheritance. Within his mind, it was a dilapidated ancient tablet that had experienced the vicissitudes of life. Its surface rippled with a layer of mysterious lightning markings, and it emanated a deep and boundless aura of the energy of wind and lightning. This Wind Lightning Stone tablet represented the essence of an emperor's inheritance. However, this Wind Thunder Ancient tablet was a bit damaged. It was dim and dead silent, and its brightness was less than 1%. This meant that with Zhao Feng's foundation, he didn't even comprehend 1% of the Wind Lightning Stone tablet. If I can comprehend 1% of this Wind Lightning Stone tablet, it won't be hard for me to become a sovereign. Zhao Feng retracted his consciousness. Comprehending the Wind Thunder Ancient tablet would definitely be a long process. If this ancient tablet inheritance fell into the Azure Flower Continent, it would definitely cause a huge wave. After all, this was the inheritance of a Void God Realm Emperor, and it was more tempting than some of the greater inheritances. After that, Zhao Feng started to study the Ice Imperial Spear again. The Ice Imperial Spear was dark blue, like a translucent crystal. Its interior was as deep as the sea. Ice Imperial Spear, an inheritance weapon. At its peak, it was at least a high-grade Earth-grade weapon. Zhao Feng gently touched the Ice Imperial Spear, and the aura of blood in his body started to circulate and merge with the Ice Imperial Spear. An Earth-grade weapon was definitely a legend in the history of the Azure Flower Continent. The once glorious dynasty of the continent, the only dynasty that surpassed the great empires, was destroyed by an Earth-rank divine weapon in a single night. Wang, the Ice Imperial Spear, seemed to melt into liquid and seeped into Zhao Feng's body. Zhao Feng was slightly surprised. At this moment, the Ice Imperial Spear had disappeared in front of him, and he couldn't sense it. But Zhao Feng was sure that it was in his body. It was extremely compatible with his bloodline power and had fused with his flesh and blood. Zhao Feng closed his eyes and sensed carefully. He could feel an ancient cold aura from his bloodline power, and there was also some information about the intent of ice and water mixed in. The Ice Imperial Spear wasn't just a weapon. It also contained a certain amount of inheritance information. The Purple Saint Partial Spirit's eyesight was very accurate and helped Zhao Feng find this inheritance weapon that was extremely suitable for him. However, Zhao Feng found that the Ice Imperial Spear was damaged, and most of its power and mysterious power were in deep sleep. Obtaining both the Wind Lightning Emperor and the Ice Imperial Spear, this sacred true dragon gathering's choice isn't bad. Zhao Feng was satisfied. Apart from the heavenly spirit treasures, the ancient materials, and the two legacies, he had also benefited greatly from other things. The greatest benefit was the strengthening of the soul that came from the Wood Spirit Essence Soul. Before this, Zhao Feng had used the Wood Spirit Essence Soul as a shield and used his Eye of Heaven to absorb the power of the soul essences, which strengthened his soul. Now, Zhao Feng's soul had surpassed the peak True Lord rank, and his mental energy level was at least comparable to the late-stage True Lord rank. He also understood how to use the Eye of Heaven. However, these benefits were enough to make the peak True Lord ranks of the 3 2-star sects go crazy with jealousy. Time passed by slowly. In the last half a day, Zhao Feng sorted out what he had obtained from the Purple Saint Dimension. There were gains and losses. Zhao Feng's loss was that he had used too much of his eye power and didn't dare to use the god's spiritual eye for a while. Apart from that, the Cub Scorpion also left Zhao Feng. Zhao Feng had asked the Purple Saint Partial Spirit, and the answer he got was that the Scorpion was either dead or not in the ruins. The young giant Scorpion shouldn't be dead. Otherwise, even if it was far away, I would still have a faint feeling. Zhao Feng was certain. Of course, compared to the huge benefits, the loss of the young Scorpion wasn't worth mentioning. Whoosh! Whoosh! 2 dark silver poison corpses appeared on either side of Zhao Feng. In terms of battle power, these 2 dark silver ghost corpses were extremely strong and had the ability to kill anyone below the Origin Core realm. Before the Sacred True Dragon Gathering, Zhao Feng would never have thought that he would have 2 True Lord rank ghost corpses. With these 2 True Lord rank ghost corpses, Zhao Feng could basically do whatever he wanted in Canopy Great Country. Some forces in the Canopy Great Country, such as the Liu family, only had 1 or 2 True Lord ranks. In the Azure Flower Continent, some strong countries only had 1 or 2 True Lord ranks. And this was a strong country. If it was the 13 countries that Zhao Feng came from, those small countries wouldn't even have a single True Lord rank, and True Mystic rank were extremely rare. In the blink of an eye, half a day passed. Zhao Feng, the inheritance is closing. I'm going to send you back to the Azure Flower Continent. The Purple Saint Partial Spirit's voice sounded in his mind. Thank you, Senior Purple Saint, Zhao Feng said respectfully. It wasn't hard for him to guess that sending him back to the Azure Flower Continent and the Purple Saint Partial Spirit would expend a lot of energy. Zhao Feng, there's no need to be so polite. This is what I should do. Even if you weren't Yufei's good friend, just the fact that you guarded the towering tree Yao and protected the weak point of the inheritance, I would do my best to satisfy your request. The Purple Saint Partial Spirit smiled. After that, Wu, the enormous Purple Saint Treasure Palace, gave off a dazzling purple aura and even created a faint spatial ripple. Suddenly, a purple crystal door appeared in front of Zhao Feng, and the inside of it was turbid. Senior, it would be best if you could send me to the southwest border of the northern continent. Zhao Feng guessed that the Sacred True Dragon Gathering had probably ended. The southwest border of the northern continent was the territory of the 13 countries and the 2 strong countries. Chapter 441. According to Zhao Feng's thoughts, it would be even better if the Purple Saint Partial Spirit could teleport him to a more precise location. Calculating the time, the Sacred True Dragon Gathering had most likely ended by now. Even after returning to the ancient arena, Zhao Feng still had a headache about how to face the questions from everyone. After all, the Purple Saint ruins that Zhao Feng had entered belonged to an unknown inheritance. Zhao Feng didn't know how to explain where Zhao Yufei had gone, as this was a huge secret. The place he really wanted to go wasn't the ancient arena or the Canopy Great Country, but his home. Thinking back, the reason he went to the Canopy Great Country was because of the Cloud area. Before he left, the new clan master of the Broken Moon clan, Hai Yun Master, had sent out a bounty to kill him. The bounty had spread across the 13 countries. And now, Zhao Feng estimated that the time was ripe, and with his strength, he could kill his way back to the Cloud area. You're asking for more than I expected. I have a Purple Saint token here. It's equivalent to a spatial marker. The Purple Saint Partial Spirit smiled, and a purple token turned into a streak of light that landed in Zhao Feng's hand. Zhao Feng took the Purple Saint token and was slightly puzzled. Through this Purple Saint token, there will be a faint connection between you and the Purple Saint ruins. If one day you want to return to the Purple Saint space, or if Yufei needs your help, you can even use this to get in touch and open up another inheritance passage. The Purple Saint Partial Spirit explained. After Zhao Feng heard this, he was slightly surprised. This meant that he would have a chance to enter the purple saint space again after returning to the azure flower continent. This purple saint token is the last one and can only be used 3 times. You must use it carefully. The purple saint partial spirit warned. Zhao Feng nodded his head and took care of the purple saint token. I have a few more things for you. The purple saint partial spirit raised her hand, and a dragon-carved jade talisman, an ancient metal ring, and a black pearl appeared in the air. Zhao Feng's heart jumped. Instinct told him that the 3 items given by the purple saint partial spirit weren't normal. Thinking about it, the purple saint partial spirit was the controller of this ruins, so how could her gift be ordinary? Meow meow. The little thieving cat appeared with an excited expression. This jade talisman is called the Jade Dragon Protection. The materials used to create it even contain a trace of the bloodline of an ancient true dragon. It's similar to the Void God Protection, but it's even more special. It can be used to attack, defend, and protect one's life. This jade talisman can be used twice more. The purple saint partial spirit introduced. Zhao Feng's eyes lit up when he heard that. Before this, he had seen Yin Yu use the terrifying power of the Void God Protection with his own eyes. Even the towering Tree Yao, who had a strong body, was half crippled. The Void God Protection was equivalent to 1/10 of a Void God Realm King's power in offense and defense. If used properly, the attack of the Void God Protection could even kill a Primal Core Realm Sovereign. The Jade Dragon Protection that the Purple Saint Partial Spirit gave him was even more unique than normal Void God Protection, and it could be used twice. This ancient metal ring is a top-tier interspatial item. It's extremely sturdy, and it's almost indestructible. The space inside is several hundred times bigger than all the interspatial items you have combined. Furthermore, this ring can be used as a spiritual pet bag. The Purple Saint Partial Spirit smiled and said. Zhao Feng was overjoyed as he sent his consciousness into the ancient metal ring. He could faintly feel a large interspatial dimension that was at least 1 mile wide. One had to know that normal interspatial dimensions were only a few feet wide, while the bigger ones were only a few yards wide. However, an interspatial item that was 1 mile wide was almost unheard of in the Azure Flower continent. Moreover, this ancient iron ring could be used for storage as well as spiritual pets. Meow meow. The little thieving cat's figure flashed and disappeared into the ancient metal ring. With this ancient metal ring, it will be much more convenient for Zhao Feng to do things in the future. Finally, the Purple Saint Partial Spirit introduced the Black Pearl. This is the 10,000 Ghost Pearl, a sacred item of the Ghost Dao. It contains a large amount of ghost corpse chi and is suitable for raising ghost corpses. Normal ghost corpses can be placed inside, and their cultivation speed will be dozens of times faster than in the outside world. The 10,000 Ghost Emperor used this pearl to raise an army of 10,000 ghosts that swept across several 2-star sections. Zhao Feng took the 10,000 Ghost Pearl and looked at it. The grade of this item was several levels higher than the Black Lotus he had stolen. It was obvious that the Purple Saint Partial Spirit saw that Zhao Feng was interested in raising ghost corpses, so she gave him this 10,000 Ghost Pearl. It wasn't just the 10,000 Ghost Pearl. The Jade Dragon Protection and the Ancient Metal Ring were also of great help to Zhao Feng. After putting the 3 items away, Zhao Feng was about to get up. Yu Fei, we'll meet again. Before leaving, Zhao Feng looked deeply at Zhao Yufei. Now that Zhao Yufei had become the successor of the Purple Knight Sacred Lord and had taken over the Purple Saint space, she would probably have a lot of things to do in the future. The Purple Saint Partial Spirit was extremely smart, and she gave these things to Zhao Feng in hopes that Zhao Feng would take care of her in the future, especially before Zhao Yufei grew up. In reality, with the relationship between Zhao Feng and Zhao Yufei, even without these things, if Zhao Yufei was in trouble, Zhao Feng wouldn't just stand by and do nothing. Shua! Zhao Feng leapt into the purple crystal door in front of him, and his figure disappeared. In the next instant, the entire Purple Saint ruins started to tremble and space rippled. Zhao Feng also disappeared from the Purple Saint dimension at this moment. The purple crystal door disappeared. Yu Fei, although this person doesn't have the bloodline of the 10,000 ancient races, his left eye has a huge origin and is definitely related to the 10,000 ancient races. If you can become husband and wife with him, you'll benefit both of you. The purple saint partial spirit's dreamy eyes contained a smile. Zhao Yufei, who was sitting cross-legged and refining the crystal key, immediately blushed. At the same time, in the limitless ocean, shua, 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 figures appeared out of thin air above the peak of the towering mountain. These figures were the geniuses of the three sections. Some were disappointed, some were surprised, some were angry, and some were unwilling. The magnificent power of three void god realm kings shook everything within 1,000 miles, and it was as if space itself had been frozen. Every time a genius was sent out, the upper echelon of the three sects would question them. At the very end, even Yi Yanyu and Zhuang Wan'er were sent out. The inheritance path to the Purple Saint ruins is closed. The golden skeleton said emotionlessly. The three void god realm kings suddenly sensed something. There seems to be an unknown existence that came out from the Purple Saint ruins, but it didn't appear at the inheritance path. The moon-robed Saint Nun's eyebrows furrowed as she closed her eyes and started to sense. I also sensed it. The golden skeleton and the demonic Tao king both felt the same. The instant the Purple Saint ruins closed, Zhao Feng was sent out. However, the three void god realm kings were able to sense an unusual disturbance. Who was that unknown existence that had been teleported to that foreign land? The three void god realm kings had an answer after thinking for a while. Firstly, the inheritor of the Purple Saint ruins could be excluded. This was because the inheritor needed a long time to take over the ruins and couldn't leave. Secondly, the geniuses of the three sects could be excluded since they all had an inheritance token. Furthermore, sending a being far away without the help of an inheritance token would expend a lot of energy on the Purple Saint partial spirit. The Purple Saint partial spirit wouldn't do something like sending a genius disciple of the three sections. Then, the answer was very clear. Only Zhao Feng, who had helped the inheritor of the ruins, could receive such treatment. I can't sense him anymore. The moon-robed Saint Nun closed her eyes and connected with the youngling scorpion in her palm. Void God Realm Kings had incredible methods and could easily control the youngling scorpion. However, the youngling scorpion was too far away from Zhao Feng and its cultivation was too weak, so it was hard for it to sense Zhao Feng. Looks like that Zhao Feng isn't in the Tianlu Islands, but with the Purple Saint partial spirit's abilities, she shouldn't be able to send him too far. He might be from one of the nearby islands. The moon-robed Saint Nun had an idea. Right now, all she needed to do was raise the youngling scorpion to a certain level and increase its senses. In the future, it might be able to find its master's general location. Zhao Feng had disappeared from the Purple Saint dimension, so the youngling scorpion was the only clue. Far away on the other side, in an unending stretch of desolate forest, Wang, a sparkling amethyst door of light, appeared out of nowhere in the forest. It even caused the primal energies of the universe to become abnormally restless. In that instant, the surrounding heaven and earth seemed to tremble as wind, lightning, clouds, and rain intertwined. The appearance of the purple crystal door seemed to be suppressed by the surrounding heaven and earth, but it was still able to stand in this area. Shua, a blue-haired youth walked out from the purple crystal door. The phenomenon in the surroundings caused all the ferocious beasts and demonic spirits in the forest to tremble in fear. Zhao Feng's god's spiritual eye instantly opened, and he murmured to himself, "This Purple Saint partial spirit's methods are immeasurable. She's connected two places and sent me back to the Azure Flower Continent." The instant he appeared, Zhao Feng smelt a familiar aura. The aura of the Azure Flower Continent was completely different from the Purple Saint dimension. The aura here was extremely similar to the 13 countries where Zhao Feng came from. Zhao Feng's eyes twinkled, and he guessed that he had been sent to a small corner of the cloud area. There were 13 countries and 2 strong countries in the cloud area. Apart from the countries themselves, most of it was barren land. The desolate lands belonged to the undeveloped wastelands and were usually occupied by large amounts of deadly beasts and demonic beasts. Even some experts at the true spirit realm didn't dare to take the risk. Because the barren land was too big, Zhao Feng couldn't determine which corner of the cloud area he was in. So, Zhao Feng's figure leapt onto the top of an ancient tree and instinctively opened his god's spiritual eye to check the terrain. However, as soon as his god's spiritual eye opened, his expression changed. Sii. Zhao Feng felt a swelling pain come for his left eye. What's going on? Zhao Feng's consciousness entered the dimension of his left eye, and the freezing pond in the middle of his left eye was rippling and reaching almost 90 yards. Chapter 442. Within the forest. Zhao Feng stood still with his eyebrows furrowed and his thumb pressed against his temple. There was a swelling pain coming from his left eye. He didn't know if it was an illusion, but his left eye wasn't as cold as before and ripples would occasionally appear within it. It was as if an iceberg was about to melt into a lake. This feeling, Zhao Feng also felt slightly tired. Before his god's spiritual eye evolved, he had a similar feeling. But this time, it was much calmer and more like the swelling pain of the god's spiritual eye. If he didn't use the god's spiritual eye, it would be fine, but once he did, the swelling pain would increase by 10 or even 100 times. Zhao Feng wasn't sure if this was because he had used too much energy in the ruins or if the god's spiritual eye was about to evolve. Maybe it was a little of both, causing some unknown catalysis. The evolution of the god's spiritual eye and the direction of the evolution was something that even Zhao Feng couldn't control. Facing this situation, Zhao Feng was both expectant and worried. He didn't know where the evolution of the god's spiritual eye would bring him. Zhao Feng calmed himself down and circulated his bloodline power. Shua. The bloodline power had a cool feeling that instantly entered the dimension of his left eye and blocked out the freezing pond. In the next instant, Zhao Feng's left eye returned to its normal black pupil, but it was still dim. Within the dimension of his left eye, ripples appeared on the deep blue cold pond. The cold aura faded, and a water-like gentleness appeared. My bloodline power is indeed directly related to the element of the god's spiritual eye. Zhao Feng found that his bloodline power was between ice and water. He activated his bloodline power and slapped out with his palm. A flower of ice and thunder appeared in the air, and a layer of water-like ripples appeared. It bloomed like a dreamy crystal. The power of his palm didn't change much. However, Zhao Feng found that his control over his bloodline power was more than twice as strong as before when he only had the ice bloodline. After returning to the Cloud Horizon region, the god's spiritual eye had changed. It was hard to say if this was a blessing or a curse for Zhao Feng. However, he reckoned that even if he didn't use his god's spiritual eye, he would be able to dominate the 13 countries and 2 strong countries with his own strength and trump cards. At this moment, Zhao Feng couldn't easily use the god's spiritual eye, so he stood in the forest hesitantly, not knowing which direction to go. Meow meow. The little thieving cat jumped onto his shoulder and threw a few coins into the air. It grinned and pointed in a certain direction. Little fraud, I'll believe you once more. Zhao Feng could not help but smile. He didn't fully trust the little thieving cat's divination skills. Swoosh. Zhao Feng turned into a blurry electric arc and flew towards a certain area in the forest. Zhao Feng flew several thousand miles in the direction the little thieving cat pointed. It was still a vast and uninhabited wasteland in front of them, but there were some lakes and rivers from time to time. These lakes and rivers made Zhao Feng's god spiritual eye feel a sense of familiarity. In this period of time, Zhao Feng had met some deadly beasts and killed them with a flick of his finger. Zhao Feng's current cultivation had reached the peak true mystic rank and could even be considered a half-step true lord rank. Even without the god's spiritual eye, he didn't need to fear normal true lord ranks. When he was tired of flying, Zhao Feng took out the azure sharp swallow from his ancient metal ring and used it as a means of transportation. The ancient metal ring was indeed worthy of being a gift from the purple saint partial spirit. It could store both normal items and spiritual pets. Because it wasn't raised, the azure sharp swallow's cultivation was only at the half-step true spirit realm. However, in terms of flying ability, it was much stronger than normal true spirit realm cultivators. After flying another several thousand miles, Zhao Feng still hadn't left the barren area. Zhao Feng was slightly angered and was about to pull out the little thieving cat to interrogate it. Right at this moment, 7 or 8 figures leapt out from the 2 banks of the river below. Their auras weren't ordinary, and the weakest was at the 7th sky of the ascended realm. There were 2 at the half-step true spirit realm, and the leader was at the true spirit realm. Bastards of the Iron Dragon Alliance, hand over your life. How are they so fast? The Iron Dragon Alliance has already chased us here? These figures seem to have just found Zhao Feng, and their eyes went red with anger as they leapt over with killing intent. Before Zhao Feng knew what was going on, he was attacked by a group of people. He scanned over them and saw that most of them were covered in wounds and looked ruffled. It was obvious that they had fought not long ago. The leader was a brown-robed elder, an expert at the true spirit realm. His cultivation was even stronger than high-end masters for back then. Everyone be careful. This person is young, but is already at the true spirit realm. The brown-robed elder scanned over Zhao Feng with his spiritual sense, and his heart skipped a beat. He couldn't see through Zhao Feng's aura, but he was sure that the latter was at least at the true spirit realm. They had just been chased and had fought several times, so their strength wasn't at its peak. The other 6 or 7 people were on high alert, as if they were facing a great enemy. Even though they had the advantage in numbers, they would have to pay a heavy price to deal with a true spirit realm expert, even if they could kill or heavily injure him. Under normal situations, they would lose at least half of their forces if they wanted to win. Zhao Feng didn't move much after being surrounded by the 8. His expression changed from shock to joy and interest. He finally saw someone. Zhao Feng felt as if a heavy burden had been lifted off his shoulders. Seeing Zhao Feng become overjoyed despite being surrounded, the brown-robed elder's expression became even more solemn as he cursed in his heart. Bastard, report your name before you die. It was the other youth at half-step true spirit realm who said with hatred. Facing this situation, Zhao Feng instinctively wanted to use his eye of the heart to get answers from these people as quickly as possible. However, the pain from the god spiritual eye made him give up on this thought. AI. He wasn't used to not being able to use his god spiritual eye. Zhao Feng sighed helplessly. However, with a thought, a smile appeared on his face. In the past, he had the god's spiritual eye and could control the situation. His powerful perception made everything in front of him unable to hide. That sense of control and superiority was naturally very powerful, but it made many of the processes lose their interest. But now, Zhao Feng didn't dare to use his god's spiritual eye, so he could experience the life of a normal person. This change in mentality caused the coldness in Zhao Feng's expression to melt a little, and a playful expression appeared on his face. That's fine. Before I die, I'll let you know who killed you. This chapter leader's name is Zhao Feng. Zhao Feng revealed an unfathomable expression. He immediately said his real name. Back then, Zhao Feng had participated in the alliance banquet of the 13 clans and was like a shooting star that took first place, shocking the 13 countries. Although 2 years had passed, Zhao Feng was confident that his name hadn't been completely forgotten by the world. Zhao Feng, the 7 or 8 people present paused. Some of them even tried to recall, but couldn't remember any expert at the true spirit realm named Zhao Feng. Never heard of him. The few of them looked at each other in astonishment. Their gazes all turned towards the brown-robed elder. The brown-robed elder was obviously experienced and knew most of the experts at the true spirit realm in the cloud area. However, the brown-robed elder also shook his head with furrowed eyebrows. Such a young genius at the true spirit realm seemed to be Baimois and company who went to the sacred True Dragon gathering a few months ago. Seeing the expressions of these people, Zhao Feng was surprised. Thinking back, he was famous in the 13 countries, but these people didn't know his name. He was a little surprised by this point. Of the 7 or 8 people, only a youth at the half-step true spirit realm murmured, "This name seems to have appeared on a bounty 2 years ago." Suddenly, Chapter Leader Zhao. Chapter Leader. The brown-robed elder's heart shook as he looked at Zhao Feng in shock. A terrifying thought flashed through his mind. In the cloud area, experts at the true spirit realm were high above and were at least elders in most forces. The title of Branch Master sounded like a middle-level position. In the Cloud District, this was an unimaginable situation. Only the Scarlet Moon demonic religion from several hundred years ago, which almost unified the continent, could only be a chapter leader. Especially in the past 2 years, the remnants of the Scarlet Moon demonic religion had started to rise again. The Iron Dragon Alliance had the support of the Scarlet Moon demonic religion. This wasn't a big secret in the upper echelons of the cloud area. Could this person be? Cold sweat appeared on the brown-robed elder's forehead as he panicked. If his guess was correct, then even if they had several times more people, they still wouldn't be enough. Any chapter leader of the Scarlet Moon demonic religion was definitely a powerhouse. In the past, any one of the Scarlet Moon demonic religion's branches could easily destroy the cloud area. That's right, I'm chapter leader Zhao. Zhao Feng didn't deny it. In the Iron Blood religion, he was a chapter leader of an area. From the actions of the brown-robed elder and company, Zhao Feng had a guess. This definitely wasn't the 13 countries. He guessed that this was either the Iron Dragon Strong Country or the Sky Rich Strong Country. If the name Zhao Feng was mentioned in the 13 countries, these people would definitely know about it. After all, Zhao Feng's name had spread across the 13 countries during the 13 Countries Alliance banquet, and Haiyan Master had listed him as a wanted man. Then, was this the Sky Rich Strong Country or the Iron Dragon Strong Country? The Iron Dragon Alliance really thinks highly of me. They actually sent an expert of your level to kill us. The brown-robed elder took in a cold breath as helplessness appeared on his face. Zhao Feng's aura was immeasurable, as if he had become one with heaven and earth. He couldn't see through it at all. Since the other called himself a chapter leader, the brown-robed elder's guess was more or less confirmed. Third Highness, quickly run and meet up with Old Sue and Princess Jean. Leave this person to me. The brown-robed elder's voice was urgent as he suddenly roared. His chi of true spirit boiled, and his aura increased by more than double. In an instant, scarlet-yellow light surged in a radius of 20 to 30 yards, crushing down on Zhao Feng like a mountain dragon. Zhao Feng's body sunk slightly in surprise. In order to stop Zhao Feng, the brown-robed elder didn't hesitate to burn his chi of true spirit to give Third Highness and company a chance to escape. Old Jiang, the eyes of the youth in brocade, the Third Highness, were red and moist as he led the other 6 to retreat. Before retreating, he glanced deeply at the blue-haired youth behind him. Just how terrifying was this person to make old Jiang feel despair and no chance of winning? Stone Dragon Domain. The brown-robed old Jiang roared into the sky as he burned his chi of true spirit and threw out a few palms, sending out several scarlet-yellow stone dragons that swallowed Zhao Feng's figure. Chapter 443. Stone Dragon Suppression. The brown-robed elder Jiang used his ultimate skill, and the roar of a dragon sounded in the air. A scarlet-yellow light instantly pierced through a radius of dozens of yards. The images of scarlet-yellow stone dragons charged toward Zhao Feng with the naked eye, exuding a mountain-like pressure as they tried to trap and kill Zhao Feng. That move that stirred up the wind and sand made the Third Highness and the rest of the 7 people who were retreating at lightning speed feel shocked, and the true force in their bodies trembled nonstop. Those of the true spirit realm were indeed experts of the clan world. Their strength and methods made others look up to them. At this point in time, the brown-robed Elder Jiang had burnt his chi of true spirit and thought that his ultimate skill could stop normal true mystic ranks. In just a moment, the Third Highness and company might have a chance to escape. Old Jiang's true strength has reached such a level. What's the background of that blue-haired youth? Can he really block old Jiang's attack? While the Third Highness was running, he couldn't help but pay attention to the battle behind him. He didn't dare to go against old Jiang's words. But that blue-haired youth was so young, much younger than him. What methods did he have to make old Jiang scared to the point of risking his life to buy himself a chance to escape? The third prince was unwilling to accept this, and he had strong doubts. Woo, whoosh, whoosh, boom. The illusory stone dragons that shook the wind and clouds in the sky strangled and destroyed the blue-haired youth in his field of vision. In the end, a deafening roar resounded. The Third Highness and company had only run 100 yards away, and they all felt fear. Is he dead? The Third Highness and company slowed down as they looked back at the area covered in dust. The seven were overjoyed. Maybe the blue-haired youth was only strong on the outside and didn't have any true ability, so he was finished off by old Jiang in one move. He didn't resist at all. Could it be that it was all an illusion? Old Jiang's breathing quickened and his face was slightly pale. The blue-haired youth in his sight didn't resist at all and was killed in one move. Victory came so suddenly that old Jiang felt that it wasn't real and that something wasn't right. The dust settled. The blue-haired youth's figure disappeared with the wind, and there was no aura left. That so-called branch leader is only SOSO. We only know a little about Elder Jiang's Rock Dragon Town from the rumors. Now that we've seen it, it really lives up to its reputation. The worries of the Third Highness and the others turned into joy as they stopped running. Pong! The sound of lightning flashed through the wind. Not good. Run! The brown-robed Elder Jiang seemed to have sensed it and exclaimed in shock. The third prince and the others were dumbfounded. Too late. Before they could react, a cold voice rang in their ears. Pong! A dim afterimage of a lightning phantom flashed above his head and formed a shape. What? The Third Highness and the others raised their heads in shock. A blue-haired youth, surrounded by a layer of green electric currents, had appeared above their heads. Your Highness, quickly flee. There are Scarlet Moon thieves. If you have the ability, fight me fair and square. Elder Jiang roared, full of regret and hatred. Zhao Feng didn't pay attention to him and lightly waved his sleeves, sending out an azure electric wave that covered the 6 or 7 people below him. The azure electric wave was like a ripple that swept across a radius of 20 to 30 yards, covering the 6 or 7 people. Arg! The 6 or 7 people below fell into the electric ripples. Their bodies trembled violently as if they were spasming. Half a breath later, plop, plop, plop. The third prince and the other 6 or 7 people fell to the ground in fear and shock. The intense numbness made them unable to even move a finger. They could only watch helplessly as the nightmarish blue-haired youth slowly floated down in front of them. You're that Third Highness? The blue-haired youth landed in front of the brocade-robed youth and said slowly, of the 6 or 7, the brocade-robed youth was the strongest and had reached half-step true spirit realm. He had gritted his teeth and lasted half a breath. If you want to kill me, do whatever you want. The Third Highness forced himself to be calm and tried to hide the fear of death in his heart. Zhao Feng shook his head and smiled. He didn't want to force the answer, as that would only waste more time. His gaze turned toward the brown-robed Elder Jiang. I ask you answer. If there's any lie, I'll break one of his legs. Killing intent appeared in Zhao Feng's eyes. Old Jiang's footsteps came to a halt. The killing intent that the blue-haired youth casually emitted made him feel as if he had fallen into an ice cellar. More importantly, the Third Highness was being held hostage, and he was on the defensive. According to his judgment, the opponent's cultivation had at least reached the true mystic rank. Even if he resisted, he wouldn't have any chance. Ask. Elder Jiang sighed heavily with a bitter expression. Zhao Feng smiled brightly and nodded his head in satisfaction. Everyone fell into silence as they waited for Zhao Feng's interrogation. The first question, where's this place? The blue-haired youth asked casually. What? The Third Highness and his crew, including old Jiang, were stunned, as if they were about to cry. However, Elder Jiang didn't dare to be slow. This is the border of the former sky-rich, strong country. A few thousand miles southwest is the border city of the former Sky-rich strong country. Sky-rich strong country. Zhao Feng's eyes flashed. Everything wasn't too far from what he had expected. This place could only be near the two strong countries. If it was the 13 countries, there would be people who knew Zhao Feng's name. Why the former Sky-rich strong country? What kind of existence is the Iron Dragon Alliance? Zhao Feng continued to ask. Could it be you're not from the cloud area? Elder Jiang was puzzled. Did this youth not know that the Sky-rich strong country had been destroyed and that the former Sky-rich strong country was now part of the Iron Dragon Alliance? After some questioning, Zhao Feng roughly understood the current situation of the cloud area. Before Zhao Feng left, the balance between the Iron Dragon strong country and the Sky-rich strong country was broken. On the surface, it looked like it was because the Iron Dragon strong country had a new True Lord rank. However, in reality, the Scarlet Moon demonic religion was behind this. 2 years ago, during the Alliance Banquet of the 13 clans, the Sky-rich country was defeated by the Iron Dragon country. Furthermore, in order to prevent the 13 clans from helping the Sky-rich strong country, the Iron Dragon strong country sent out elites to kill the geniuses of the 13 clans. Until now, Zhao Feng still remembered how the Broken Moon clan was chased by the dragon Concealing Lake. In that battle, Hai Yin Master had betrayed them and heavily injured the Broken Moon clan master, causing the holy and beautiful clan master to die. In that battle, First Elder burned his chi of true spirit to block the enemy and lost an arm in the process. In that battle, Zhao Feng's group barely escaped the pursuit of an expert at the true spirit realm. Finally, Zhao Feng took First Elder's recommendation letter and went to the Canopy Great Country to join a girl called Lu Qinxin. Before leaving, Zhao Feng was hunted by Hai Yin Master's 13 countries. Thinking back to the past, Zhao Feng's heart was filled with emotions. If it wasn't for that life and death situation back then, he wouldn't be where he was today. This was also why Zhao Feng gave up on staying in the Purple Saint ruins and chose to return to the cloud area. Today's Iron Dragon Alliance has basically conquered the Iron Dragon strong country and Sky-rich strong country. The 13 countries have become their subordinates. It can be said that the entire cloud area has fallen and the Iron Dragon Alliance's power has even spread to the surrounding strong countries. Elder Zhang's voice was heavy when he mentioned the strength of the Iron Dragon Alliance. As he spoke, Elder Jiang paid attention to Zhao Feng's expression. The blue-haired youth in his field of vision had a look of reminiscence on his face. Occasionally, a cold, killing intent would flash in his eyes, and occasionally he would sigh. Elder Jiang guessed that this blue-haired youth had probably left the cloud area before the Iron Dragon Alliance was formed. Otherwise, he wouldn't have known nothing about the situation in the Cloud Horizon area over the past 2 years, and yet still had a special feeling for this place. From the looks of it, this youth might not be an enemy. Elder Jiang let out a breath in his heart and inspected Zhao Feng, but he couldn't remember who he was. On the other hand, the Third Highness stared at Zhao Feng and suddenly exclaimed, "Could you be the person who was wanted 2 years ago, the #1 genius of the 13 countries?" The Third Highness thought back to the youth who was wanted. The #1 genius of the 13 countries seemed to have azure hair and one eye. The youth in front of him had a head of blue hair, and his left eye was dim and cloudy. I didn't think that there would be someone in the Sky-rich strong country that remembers me. Zhao Feng murmured in self-mockery. This means that we're not enemies, but friends. The Third Highness was overjoyed. That's right, we come from the destroyed Sky-rich strong country and are enemies with the Iron Dragon Alliance. The Third Highness and we were all core disciples of the head of the Sky-rich 7 sects, the Sky Wind Pavilion. The other 5 or 6 people spoke with respect. Zhao Feng went into deep thought. He had heard the Sky-rich 7 sects. The #1 force in the Sky-rich strong country, the Sky Wind Pavilion, was one of the weakest of the Canopy Great Country's 8 major forces. Back then, when he was participating in the Alliance Banquet of the 13 clans, bad news came from afar that the #1 force in the Sky-rich country, the Sky Wind Pavilion, had been destroyed. I'm an elder of the Sky Wind Pavilion and came from the Sky-rich imperial family. We try to rise again, but we were always chased by the Iron Dragon Alliance. The brown-robed Elder Jiang had a bitter expression. At this point in time, Zhao Feng completely understood the current situation, including the situation of the Cloud Area. Simply put, right now, the Cloud Area was the domain of the Iron Dragon Alliance. There were only a few weaklings left who were resisting stubbornly. The situation was more serious than Zhao Feng had imagined. He even had the thought of going to the Canopy Great Country to ask for reinforcements. However, he quickly destroyed this thought. Although the situation of the Cloud Area was bad, he wasn't the same Zhao Feng as before. Right at this moment, chio chio, chio chio, the sound of something flying came from the clouds. Zhao Feng looked over and saw a blood-winged bird fly over. There were more than 10 auras on it, and the weakest was at the 6th or 7th sky of the Ascended Realm. Ha remnants of the Sky Wind Pavilion. You won't be able to escape today. More than 10 figures flew out from the blood-winged bird. The leader was a skinny figure holding a blood-colored scythe. He licked his lips, and his body was surrounded by a blood-colored ripple. Not good. It's the infamous Blood Scythe Slaughterer of the Iron Dragon Alliance. He slaughtered tens of thousands of people in a city and even destroyed a small clan with a group of elites. The brown-robed Elder Jiang's face instantly went white. Chapter 444. Hearing the name of the Blood Sickle Slaughterer, the faces of the Sky Rich Imperials turned ashen. At the front of the blood-winged bird was a skinny man holding a blood sickle. He was like the representative of the god of death, as he floated in a blood-colored ripple. That intense, bloodthirsty aura spread through the sky, causing one's heart to palpitate with fear. I actually met this butcher. Does the heavens want me to die? The Third Highness' heart trembled, and his expression was filled with despair. In the current era of the Iron Dragon Alliance, the Cloud Area was like a pile of loose sand. All the countries and sects had submitted to them and didn't dare to say anything. Among them, the Blood Sickle Slaughterer was a famous executioner of the Iron Dragon Alliance. He was famous for killing, and if anyone disobeyed him, they would slaughter an entire city, family, or even a sect. Only Zhao Feng's expression didn't change as he lazily rubbed his left eye. The change in the god's spiritual eye started when I returned to the Cloud Area. As time passed, the swelling pain in Zhao Feng's left eye became more obvious. Even if he didn't use the god's spiritual eye, he would feel slightly uncomfortable. As for the Blood Sickle Slaughterer and company, he didn't even look at them. Zhao Feng's casual actions were noticed by the brown-robed Elder Jiang, and his eyes flashed with surprise. From the clash before, Elder Jiang guessed that Zhao Feng was at least at the true mystic rank. However, this was just a guess. If his guess was correct, as long as Zhao Feng was willing to help, they would at least be able to protect themselves. Although the Blood Sickle Slaughterer is strong and has the record of fighting against those at the true mystic rank, he hasn't reached the true mystic rank yet. Old Jiang's heart jolted, and his expression couldn't help but become eager and expectant. The only thing he was worried about was whether or not Zhao Feng would help. This was because the Cloud Area now belonged to the Iron Dragon Alliance. If Zhao Feng made a move, it would mean that he was fighting against the Iron Dragon Alliance, a monster that could cover the sky with one hand. Although the true mystic rank was strong, fighting against the Iron Dragon Alliance was like a mantis trying to stop a chariot. I'll give you 10 breaths of time to consider. Surrender or be slaughtered. The Blood Sickle Butcher slowly descended from the blood-winged bird. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. The other figures were like divine soldiers descending from the heavens, and they surrounded the people from the royal family of Sky Abundance with extremely experienced techniques. Old Jiang was uneasy. The third prince and the others were frightened, and most of their legs were trembling. Everyone had heard of the infamous name of the Blood Sickle Butcher. 10 breaths of time to consider had always been the style of the Blood Sickle Butcher. Surrender or slaughter them all. The Blood Sickle Butcher licked his lips. He enjoyed watching his enemies struggle in fear. His teasing gaze swept across the crowd, and he nodded slightly. The Blood Sickle Butcher's eyes suddenly focused on one person. Among the Sky Rich royal family's crowd, A blue-haired youth looked lazy and tired, looking very out of place. There was no hint of fear in the young man's eyes, as if he was completely unaware of the current situation. If it was an ordinary person, then so be it. However, this youth's aura was like a bottomless abyss, emitting traces of coldness. True mystic rank? The blood-sickle butcher's heart shook in disbelief. The playfulness on his face was replaced by solemnity. When the three words true mystic rank came out of the blood-sickle butcher's mouth, old Jiang let out a breath. After all, the blood-sickle butcher's cultivation had reached the peak true human rank and was even stronger than the first elder of the Broken Moon clan. The blood-sickle butcher's strength was definitely at the peak true human rank, and he had even fought against those at the true mystic rank. His senses wouldn't be wrong. The sand lightly floated in the air. The scene was dead silent. The information was wrong. There's a true mystic rank amongst the survivors of the Sky-Rich royal family. The blood-sickle butcher's expression was extremely solemn, and cold sweat appeared on his forehead. The figures of the dozen or so members of the Iron Dragon Alliance surrounding them froze. In the cloud area, those at the True Lord rank were the absolute rulers, and they could decide the fate of the world. Across the entire Iron Dragon Alliance, the number of True Lord ranks could be counted on one hand. Putting aside the cloud area, even the Canopy Great Country only had a few True Lord ranks. Every True Lord rank could affect the balance of the Great Country. In the cloud area, True Lord ranks were even rarer, and they were extremely rare. This meant that the True Mystic rank was the peak battle power under the True Lord rank and could dominate a region. It was hard to imagine that this youth had reached the peak of the cloud area at such a young age. May I ask for your name and why you're helping the Sky-Rich royal family? The blood-sickle butcher was someone who had been through a lot and soon calmed his emotions. His eyes twinkled coldly and fearlessly as he stared at the carefree, blue-haired youth. The blood-sickle butcher guessed that this blue-haired youth must have reached the true mystic rank not long ago. This meant that with his powerful battle power, he would at least be able to resist for a while. Of course, before that, he needed to test Zhao Feng's strength. Zhao Feng raised his head tiredly and said expressionlessly, "I'll give you 10 breaths to consider. Surrender or be slaughtered." The blood-sickle butcher's words were returned to him by Zhao Feng. Do you want to become enemies with the Iron Dragon Alliance? The blood-sickle butcher's expression was slightly ugly. If it wasn't for the fact that the opponent was a true mystic rank higher than him, the blood-sickle butcher would have tortured the opponent to death already. However, he didn't have any confidence of winning against a true mystic rank. Furthermore, the other side had Elder Jiang, an expert at the true human rank. 10-9. Zhao Feng's low voice was like a death note that made the hearts of the blood-sickle butcher and company jump. Elder Jiang, Third Highness, and company were overjoyed. They didn't expect the situation to change like this. A moment ago, they were waiting for the choice of surrender or death. The next moment, Zhao Feng casually turned the situation around. Furthermore, the invisible aura from Zhao Feng was extremely strong. Logically speaking, someone like the blood-sickle butcher shouldn't be shocked by a youth who had just reached the true mystic rank. However, for some reason, the blood-sickle butcher felt uneasy from his soul. Even those at the true mystic rank that he was familiar with couldn't give him such pressure. That kind of aura originated from the combination of strength, confidence, mental state, and many other aspects, and it invisibly caused others to submit to him. It was like those in power. Although they didn't have strong individual strength, their every action had an invisible aura. Zhao Feng had a similar aura. Thinking back to the Purple Saint ruins, there were dozens of true mystic rank geniuses that had died at his hands, and many of them were at the peak true mystic rank. Even the weaker true lord ranks didn't have the ability to resist. 8, 7, 6. In Zhao Feng's eyes, the blood-sickle slaughterer was as small as an ant. This kind of thought was released from his body. Retreat, retreat. The blood-sickle butcher suddenly made a decision. It was instinct. There were 2 reasons why he retreated so decisively. Firstly, there were 2 experts at the true spirit realm, and one of them was at the true mystic rank. His chances of winning were less than 30%. Secondly, The blue-haired youth gave him a strong sense of uneasiness. Being the butcher, he had a sense of life and death that normal people couldn't. Retreat. The Bloodsickle Butcher ordered, and the nearby members of the Iron Dragon Alliance instantly started to follow his orders. Then die. A cruel coldness flashed on Zhao Feng's face. Ring of lightning. He raised his palm and gently swiped it in the air. In a split second, streaks of green electric chains danced in the air within a radius of several hundred feet like intelligent electric snakes. Chio! Chio! The arcs of lightning seemed to come to life as they circled around Third Highness and bit the members of the Iron Dragon Alliance. Arg! Blood-curdling screams rang out incessantly, rising and falling. Plop! Plop! Under the flickering arcs of lightning, the dozen or so members of the Iron Dragon Alliance were turned into charred corpses. In just a breath's time, apart from the Bloodsickle Butcher, everyone was killed. Killed in one move. The Bloodsickle Butcher's heart skipped a beat as his expression changed dramatically. Elder Jiang, Third Highness, and company who were standing next to Zhao Feng froze on the spot and didn't dare to move under the terrifying aura of lightning. They originally thought that Zhao Feng's killing move would kill them all. However, Zhao Feng's attack passed between friend and foe, annihilating all of them. Elder Jiang could only look up to such control. The Bloodsickle Butcher knew that Zhao Feng wasn't a normal true mystic rank. Run. There was only one thought left in the Bloodsickle Butcher's mind. Zhao Feng's strength was more terrifying than he had imagined. In a head-on clash, his chances of winning were less than 30%. Furthermore, there was Elder Jiang. Xiao, the blood-side slaughterer, released a blood-colored flame under his feet as he ignited his chi of true spirit and flew through the air. No one knew what secret technique the Bloodsickle Butcher used to increase his speed to the true mystic rank. The Bloodsickle Butcher's technique seems to be related to the Moon Demon Palace. Seeing the blood-colored flames fly away, Zhao Feng's heart moved. He couldn't help but squint his eyes as he watched the Bloodsickle Butcher leave. Elder Jiang was slightly anxious. It seemed that the Bloodsickle Butcher was extremely wary of Zhao Feng. If Zhao Feng chased after him, he should be able to kill the Bloodsickle Butcher. Once he let the Bloodsickle Butcher escape, it would bring more danger to the rest of the journey. Elder Jiang, which clan did this Bloodsickle Butcher come from? Zhao Feng was neither fast nor slow. Many of the members of the Iron Dragon Alliance come from the Cloud area, such as the 2 strong countries and the 13 countries. However, the Iron Dragon Alliance has the Scarlet Moon demonic religion behind them, and many of the core members come from the demonic religion. The Bloodsickle Butcher isn't from the Cloud area and is most likely a member of the Scarlet Moon demonic religion. Elder Jiang said deeply. Scarlet Moon demonic religion. Moon Demon Palace. Zhao Feng murmured in his heart. In order to confirm his guesses, he instinctively circulated his god's spiritual eye and tried to see how the Bloodsickle Butcher circulated. However, as soon as he circulated his eye power, the god's spiritual eye felt a swelling pain. Chapter 445. Zhao Feng rubbed his left eye helplessly. He wasn't used to not being able to use his god's spiritual eye at this stage. Old Zhang's eyes flickered as he noticed a certain detail. In that instant, he saw a blue light flash in Zhao Feng's left eye, as if it was just an illusion. Furthermore, this wasn't the first time that Zhao Feng rubbed his eye. Brother Zhao, the Bloodsickle Slaughterer, is extremely bloodthirsty. If we let him go, it'll be a huge problem for us. Old Jiang said solemnly. Seeing the scarlet flame in the sky getting further and further away, Senior Jiang felt worried and anxious. However, the blue-haired youth in front of him was still indifferent and lazy. Zhao Feng obviously understood the principle of eliminating the root of the problem, so he didn't show any mercy. This Bloodsickle Slaughterer is just a small fish. If I can use him to lure out the core members of the Iron Dragon Alliance, Zhao Feng thought. To him, killing the Bloodsickle Slaughterer wasn't difficult at all. If he wanted to attack, the Bloodsickle Slaughterer wouldn't have a chance to escape. However, when Zhao Feng found out that the Bloodsickle Slaughterer's cultivation technique was related to the Moon Demon Palace, he changed his mind. Shua, Shua. Only an afterimage of Zhao Feng was left behind, accompanied by arcs of lightning. Old Jiang and the others had their mouths wide open. The youth in front of them had already disappeared. Look, Third Highness and the others raised their heads and saw an azure bolt of lightning chasing after the blood-colored flame. Within the azure bolt of lightning, one could faintly see the outline of Zhao Feng's figure. His speed was slightly faster than the blood-colored flame. This Zhao Feng cultivates the power of lightning and specializes in speed. It looks like the blood-sickle slaughterer won't be able to escape. Old Jiang let out a breath and had a gloating expression. At the same time, the blood-sickle slaughterer had just used a secret technique to escape a mile or two when he suddenly heard the sound of wind whistling. Shit! He comprehended the laws of lightning. No, it's the profound meaning of wind and thunder. The blood-sickle butcher's face was ashen, and he was extremely embarrassed. As Zhao Feng tore through the air, the sound of thunder was rapid, and a fierce gust of wind was stirred up, creating a powerful wind pressure. Regardless of whether it was the lightning cultivation technique or the wind cultivation technique, they were all extremely fast. When these two were combined, it would definitely be the top speed among those of the same level. In the past, the Wind Lightning Emperor had practiced the Wind Lightning Profound to the extreme. He was known as the fastest Great Emperor, and his battle strength was unparalleled. In his mind, the Tempest Tablet was damaged as before, and it was dim and deathly silent. It emanated an ancient aura while the markings on its surface interweaved with each other, and it drew out boundless and deep meaning. Zhao Feng's consciousness merged with the ancient tablet and sensed a boundless world of wind and thunder. That world was as broken as the wind-thunder tablet. It was even fragmented. Bolts of lightning flashed across the sky. Death storms were brewing in the dark. With Zhao Feng's current realm, he could only sense a desolate corner of the world within the ancient tablet. The wind lightning he had comprehended was only a few hundredths of the essence of the ancient tablet. The fusion of wind and lightning can create the fastest speed in the world. I've only comprehended it, but my speed has already surpassed my peak in the Purple Saint ruins. While Zhao Feng was flying, a portion of his heart force merged with the wind lightning tablet. He didn't use his full strength, or else he would have caught up to the blood-sickle butcher long ago. Both the power of lightning and the power of wind were natural powers that Zhao Feng was familiar with. The lightly floating fairy, the lightning wind palm, the mystic flower manual, and the lightning inheritance that he had studied in the past were all related to one of them. It was because of this foundation that Zhao Feng chose the Wind Lightning Emperor's inheritance, and he could barely comprehend it now. In the sky, two figures, one in front and one behind, chased each other. Sometimes they circled the mountains, and sometimes they entered the forest. However, no matter how hard the blood-colored flame struggled, it couldn't break free from the azure lightning behind it. May I ask what your name is and why you're enemies with the Iron Dragon Alliance? Even if you die, you have to let me know your name. The blood-sickle slaughterer face was gray and filled with despair. The barrier between the true human rank and true mystic rank couldn't be easily broken. Even if the blood-sickle slaughterer was an elite amongst his peers, he could only fight against a true mystic rank for a short amount of time or run. If this went on for too long, he definitely wouldn't be a match for a true mystic rank. Furthermore, the opponent this time had comprehended the power of wind and lightning. In terms of speed and stamina, he couldn't be compared to them. Relax, I won't let you die. A playful chuckle sounded in his ears, accompanied by the sound of thunder. The blood-sickle slaughterer's expression changed dramatically as he took in a cold breath. He knew that Zhao Feng's speed had reached him in an unpredictable way. Waning Moon Blood-sickle. How could the blood-sickle slaughterer give up? He burned his chi of true spirit and slashed out a heart-shaking blood blade that was like a crescent moon. In an instant, the sky was dyed red and a blood-colored aura filled a radius of 100 yards. This move was definitely the blood-sickle slaughterer's killing move. Half a year ago, he had used this move to injure a true mystic rank enemy and escape. Crescent Moon Blood Sickle. Not good. This move is enough to threaten most true mystic ranks. Elder Jiang, who was more than a dozen miles away, saw the aura of this move. However, in the next instant, a change occurred. The powerful blood-colored crescent moon trembled in the air, then suddenly collapsed and shattered into pieces. The blood sickle slaughterer face went pale and his body twitched. Wang, a slender and powerful hand pressed down on his shoulder, accompanied by an azure chi of true spirit. As expected, this skill is similar to the genius disciples of the Moon Demon Palace, but it's much cruder. Zhao Feng murmured in his heart. In the Purple Saint ruins, Zhao Feng had killed many of the Moon Demon Palace's geniuses. After confirming the answer, bam! Zhao Feng flicked his finger, and a sharp beam of lightning pierced into the blood sickle slaughterer's dantian. No. The blood sickle slaughterer screamed in fear and struggled. Half a breath later, his dantian was broken and his meridians were broken. His face was filled with regret, and then he became dazed. From an awe-inspiring butcher who was feared by all, to a weakling who did not even have the strength to truss a chicken, this kind of setback was even more terrifying than death. Killing you is too easy. I'll cripple your cultivation and let you feel the pain of being a weakling. Zhao Feng waved his hand and threw the blood sickle slaughterer into the forest below. After doing all this, Zhao Feng didn't even turn his head and turned into an azure beam of lightning that met up with Elder Jiang and company. Thank you, Brother Zhao. Senior Jiang and the others were overjoyed to have survived the calamity and thanked him profusely. However, he was confused as to why Zhao Feng didn't kill the blood sickle slaughterer. After all, the blood sickle slaughterer would send news of Zhao Feng back to the Iron Dragon Alliance. It could be imagined that Zhao Feng would soon be hunted down by the Iron Dragon Alliance, which would cause a series of problems. Furthermore, Zhao Feng seemed to want to do this. Did he not know how strong the Iron Dragon Alliance was, or did he still want to be enemies with them? Thinking up to here, Elder Jiang's heart moved. As the saying went, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. If a monstrous genius like Zhao Feng could work with them, it would be great. Zhao Feng rubbed his left eye and looked in the direction of the 13 countries tiredly. The 13 countries were in between the two strong countries. In reality, the 13 countries weren't too far away from the two strong countries. Seeing that Zhao Feng wanted to leave, Elder Jiang panicked. Little friend, you've saved our lives. I can't repay you, so how can I not treat you? Since Brother Zhao has returned to the cloud area, you must know a lot of things. We can answer your questions. I believe that Elder Su of the Dragon Killing Alliance will be interested in you. Third Highness couldn't help but ask Zhao Feng to stay. Dragon Killing Alliance? Zhao Feng's footsteps paused. The members of the Dragon Killing Alliance mainly come from the sects that were destroyed by the Iron Dragon Alliance. Elder Su is the spiritual leader of the Dragon Killing Alliance and leads everyone to fight against the Iron Dragon Alliance. Third Highness explained. Right now, the Iron Dragon Alliance controlled the cloud area. The words Dragon Killing Alliance were obviously directed at the Iron Dragon Alliance, who could cover the sky with one hand. Zhao Feng smiled faintly and was about to refuse. Although he was interested in the Dragon Killing Alliance, it wasn't as tempting as returning to the 13 countries. However, just as he was about to speak, the pain from his left eye increased and exhaustion washed over him. Within the dimension of his left eye, ripples spread across the deep blue cold pool. Hidden waves surged within it, and traces of lustrous blue waves appeared. The pond seemed to be melting and had reached a diameter of 99 yards. The god spiritual eye has already entered the mutation stage. Could it be that it's comprehending the wind lightning stone tablet? Zhao Feng sighed in his heart. At this stage, his cultivation was comparable to a half-step True Lord rank, and his mental energy level surpassed normal late-stage True Lord ranks. His soul power had also surpassed the peak True Lord rank. As long as he went into seclusion, he would be able to break through to the True Lord rank. However, the god spiritual eye had also entered the mutation stage. Zhao Feng analyzed. He had 2 trump cards after returning to the 13 countries. They were the Jade Dragon Protection and the Earth Inheritance Divine Weapon, the Ice Imperial Spear. He originally had 3 trump cards, but the God Spiritual I had entered the mutation stage. The most important thing right now is to let the God Spiritual I pass the mutation stage. This is even more important than breaking through to the True Lord rank. Zhao Feng soon made his decision. With the God Spiritual I, even if he didn't break through to the True Lord rank, he could still crush most True Lord ranks. In comparison, breaking through to the True Lord rank didn't increase Zhao Feng's strength much. After all, he was at the True Lord rank and could fight against normal True Lord ranks without the God Spiritual I. Brother Zhao, what do you think? Elder Jiang had an expectant expression as he waited for Zhao Feng's reply. The Third Highness suddenly thought of something and said, "My 9th sister, known as Princess Jean, is a famous beauty of the 2 strong countries and the #1 genius of the Sky-Rich country. She just came back from the Sacred True Dragon Gathering. I believe that a genius like Brother Zhao must have heard of the Sacred True Dragon Gathering and will speak the same language as my 9th sister." Chapter 446. As the Third Highness spoke up to hear, he couldn't help but feel smug. The peerless beauty of Princess Jean, along with the Sacred True Dragon Gathering, was enough to entice any youth. What disappointed him was that the tiredness on Zhao Feng's face increased, and he was only slightly surprised when he heard Sacred True Dragon Gathering, but didn't show much interest. If the Third Highness knew that this youth had not only participated in the Sacred True Dragon Gathering, but had also become an overwhelming prodigy and one of the top prodigies of the Sacred True Dragon Gathering, who knew what he would think? Zhao Feng had never heard of Princess Jean after participating in the Sacred True Dragon Gathering. However, he had some impression of Princess Linyue from the Purple Rising Great Country. Of course, there were several thousand geniuses participating in the Sacred True Dragon Gathering, and those that Zhao Feng had an impression of were at least in the top 1 or 200 or had fought with him before. Accurately speaking, only the top 100 True Dragon geniuses could attract his attention and interest. For the current Zhao Feng, the Sacred True Dragon Gathering was already a thing of the past and wasn't much of a challenge, so he obviously wasn't interested. At this point in time, the God Spiritual I had truly entered the mutation stage, and the discomfort and tiredness in Zhao Feng's left eye increased. He stood on the spot, but wanted to sleep at any moment. "I'm tired from the long journey. Thank you, everyone." Zhao Feng's eyes flashed with a smile. Hearing this, Old Jiang, the Third Highness, and company revealed expressions of joy. This was especially so for Old Jiang. He was slightly curious as to why Zhao Feng would suddenly change his mind and travel with them. He could faintly feel that the change was related to the left eye that Zhao Feng was rubbing. Old Jiang's judgment wasn't wrong. Firstly, Zhao Feng's God Spiritual I had entered the mutation stage and couldn't return to the 13 countries immediately. Secondly, he was slightly interested in the Dragon Killing Alliance. Without a doubt, Zhao Feng returning to the Cloud area meant that he would have an irreconcilable conflict with the Iron Dragon Alliance. "Brother Zhao, please." The Third Highness raised his hand. At this moment, Old Jiang raised his hand and a 2-legged flying eagle descended from the sky. Zhao Feng did not decline. He stepped onto the back of the 2-legged flying eagle. "We can't stay here for long. We need to meet up with Elder Su and Princess Jean." Elder Jiang controlled the double-legged flying eagle, and the group quickly flew to the sky. Zhao Feng didn't ask for the location either. On the way, he asked about the general situation of the Cloud region, especially the situation of the Iron Dragon Alliance and the 13 countries. Old Jiang, the third prince, and the others all answered him. However, as time passed, the tiredness on Zhao Feng's face grew heavier and heavier. Meow, meow. Zhao Feng swiped his ancient metal ring, and the silver-gray cat jumped onto his shoulder. Old Jiang's eyes flickered. This was the first time he had seen such a storage tool that could accommodate spiritual pets and living creatures. The thieving cat in front of him also gave him a feeling of unfathomable intelligence. After summoning the thieving cat, Zhao Feng closed his eyes and fell asleep just like that. Amidst the wind, Zhao Feng peacefully fell asleep. His hair was as blue as the ocean, and as it rose and fell, it exuded a mysterious and gentle aura. Those from the sky rich Imperials were stunned. They didn't think that the youth that defeated the blood-sickle slaughterer would fall asleep so casually. However, the sleep that Zhao Feng fell asleep this time was slightly different from when his god spiritual I had mutated. On the way, Zhao Feng would wake up every few hours or half a day. But every time he woke up, Zhao Feng would feel sleepy again and then fall asleep again. Those from the sky rich Imperials were stunned at first, but then they became numb. Zhao Feng's drowsiness was accepted by them, even though it was still a bit weird. Half a month later, in an underground palace deep in the mountains, a cold aura seeped out from the dark red stones around the palace. Reporting to the palace lord, the blood-sickle slaughterer's mission has ended in failure. A man in blood-red clothes appeared in the underground palace in a flash. He was very respectful. In front of him was a throne that glowed with blood, but there was no one on it. Beneath the throne was a pool of blood. The bubbles bubbled, emitting hot steam. Wang, the blood crystal throne, suddenly flashed with a bright blood light, and a figure with a terrifying aura appeared. That figure was covered in flowing blood, and its entire body was suffused with dark silver stripes. It was like a bloody corpse that struck fear into the hearts of those who saw it. The blood-sickle slaughterer is just a true human rank member of the Iron Dragon Alliance, and is under the command of the 18th Core Elder. Why did you report this to me? The blood-colored corpse on the throne slowly sat down. Upon a closer look, it was an ugly human that looked like a zombie. His entire body was covered in dark silver stripes, and his entire body was flowing with blood. If Zhao Feng was here, he would probably recognize this silver-striped blood corpse as the blood corpse protector he met in the Scarlet Moon demonic lair. Reporting to the palace lord, the 18th Core Elder has been sent out to capture the sky-rich Imperials. However, the blood-sickle slaughterer has asked to see the palace lord many times, but to no avail. Before he died, he left behind a will. The killer's strength isn't something normal Core Elders can fight against. The blood-clothed male said uneasily. According to the rules, the blood-sickle slaughterer's mission was under the control of the 18 Core Elders. Reporting to the palace lord was already suspicious. How did the blood-sickle slaughterer die? The palace lord of the silver-striped blood corpses asked emotionlessly. He obviously had some impression of the blood-sickle slaughterer. The blood-sickle slaughterer was captured in one move, and his cultivation was crippled. The killer was a blue-haired youth who purposely left the blood-sickle slaughterer alive. The blood-clothed male said, "Who's so arrogant?" The blood corpse palace lord's expression changed dramatically. Even the man in blood-red clothes who was narrating this matter was slightly surprised. Ever since the Iron Dragon Alliance was formed, this was the first time they had encountered such a situation. The enemy had killed an expert of the Iron Dragon Alliance and purposely left him alive to inform them. Even the Scarlet Moon Demonic Religion's Palace Lord was shocked by such an arrogant person. The Iron Dragon Alliance controlled the entire cloud area, and their forces had already spread to the surrounding strong countries. Normal enemies wouldn't even be able to escape when they were chased by the Iron Dragon Alliance. Even if they had the chance to kill them, they would kill them all. No one would purposely leave someone alive. The current situation was a blatant provocation to the Iron Dragon Alliance. What's the background of that blue-haired youth? The Blood Corpse Palace Lord's face was filled with killing intent. His background isn't confirmed yet, but it's speculated that he might be the #1 genius that escaped from the 13 countries, Zhao Feng. However, their appearances are slightly different. The blood-clothed male said uncertainly. After speaking, he took out a portrait. This portrait was drawn according to the blood-sickle slaughterer's description before his death. Pass down the order. Activate the first-class bounty. Put a bounty on this person's head in the cloud area. The Blood Corpse Palace Lord's cold voice resounded throughout the underground palace. Understood. The blood-clothed male's heart shook. He never would have thought that the Blood Corpse Palace Lord would send out a rank 1 killing order. Ever since the Iron Dragon Alliance was formed, the number of rank 1 killing orders that have been sent out could be counted on one hand. Normally, only when a true Lord rank expert threatened the Iron Dragon Alliance would they send out a rank 1 killing order. This was basically the highest bounty the Iron Dragon Alliance had ever sent out. This subordinate will leave now. The blood-clothed male picked up the portrait and was about to leave. Wait! The Blood Corpse Palace Lord's gaze accidentally glanced over the portrait and suddenly spoke. This is the portrait of the blue-haired killer. After dozens of revisions, it's said to be at least 90% similar to the real person. The blood-clothed male was very good at reading people and handed over the portrait. This youth, the Blood Corpse Palace Lord, took the portrait and fell into his memories before his expression started to change. The blood-clothed male seemed uneasy. Could it be that one of the decision-makers of the Alliance, the Palace King, knew the youth in the portrait? The Blood Corpse Palace Lord stared at the portrait for a long time and felt that it was familiar. It was similar to a youth from a few years ago. Thinking about that youth from a few years ago, the Blood Corpse Palace Lord felt humiliated and angry. Back then in the Scarlet Moon Demonic Cave, the Blood Corpse Protector had just awakened and was in an extremely weak state. At that time, he had planned to use Zhao Feng and the other Broken Moon Clan disciples as a sacrifice, but he was defeated by Zhao Feng and was even extorted. Pass down my order. Find out who this youth is, and I want him alive. The Blood Corpse Palace Lord's gaze moved away from the portrait. After several years, Zhao Feng's appearance and aura had changed. The Blood Corpse Palace Lord felt that he was familiar, but he wasn't 100% sure. But regardless of whether it was true or not, he still held onto the principle of it's better to kill the wrong person than to let the wrong person go. He issued an order to capture and kill that young man. Several days later, within the borders of the heavenly rich kingdom in a remote mountain, the two-legged flying eagle, was exhausted. Zhao Feng sat on the two-legged flying eagle and slowly opened his eyes, asking, "How many days have passed?" "Brother Zhao, you've slept for a total of 20 days. You've woken up a few times, but the time was very short," the Third Highness said. "So?" The two-legged flying eagle slowly descended into a misty abyss. Half the time it took to make tea later, a small villa appeared at the bottom of the abyss. "Brother Zhao, this is one of the core strongholds of the Dragon-Killing Alliance." Old Jiang was afraid that Zhao Feng would continue to sleep. Over the past few days, Zhao Feng's sleepiness hadn't improved at all. However, every time he woke up, his left eye would show a blue luster. The cold aura from Zhao Feng's body started to cool down, and his blue hair started to become softer and calmer. Within the dimension of his left eye, the 99 Zhang cold pond had basically melted into deep blue water. The air was cool, and the waves were rippling. "I can still last a bit longer. Before I sleep, I hope to see the upper echelon of the Dragon-Killing Alliance," Zhao Feng said. "Third Highness, quickly go and inform Old Su," Old Jiang hurriedly urged. However, as soon as he said this, "Master is in seclusion and can't see anyone. If there's anything, I can pass it on." A beautiful girl in blue walked out from the villa, and her voice was like the wind blowing across the water. The girl in blue had a pure and elegant aura, but it didn't lose any of her elegance. Her looks were top tier in the cloud area. The number one beauty of Sun Feather City was like a grain of rice compared to the moon. Princess Jean. The eyes of the males present lit up, and their footsteps slowed down. That Princess Jean was the gentle and elegant type that most men liked, and she was once the princess of a powerful country. Apparently, this Princess Jean had returned from the sacred True Dragon gathering not long ago and was surrounded by legends. Chapter 447. Master is in seclusion and can't see anyone. If there's anything, I can pass it on. Princess Jin's voice was like a clear spring. Her eyes were as clear as water, and her face was as tender as the snow in spring. She was dressed in a noble, classical blue dress, gentle and dignified, but not lacking in elegance. Under the hazy night sky, Her skin exuded a tender luster, flawless, like a beauty in a painting under the moon. Beautiful but not seductive, beautiful but not dangerous. Princess Jean had reached an unbelievable balance in terms of beauty. Many males present forgot to breathe, and their footsteps were stiff. However, when their eyes met Princess Jin's, they all looked away and felt ashamed. Ninth sister, the third highness, was overjoyed. Brother and sister met again and smiled. Gina, old Sue's injuries haven't improved at all? Elder John's expression was solemn. Princess Jean shook her head bitterly. Master was ambushed by several true lord ranks and was fatally injured. It's already a miracle that he survived until now. Hearing this, the expressions of those from the sky-rich Imperials were slightly dejected. Elder Jiang, what kind of esteemed guest is asking to see Master? Princess Jean calmed her emotions and scanned across the sky-rich Imperials. Only then did Elder Jiang and the Third Highness react. Ninth sister, let me introduce you. This is Zhao. The third prince had just turned his hand and was halfway through his words when he suddenly choked. When Elder Jiang and the Third Highness turned around, Zhao Feng was nowhere to be seen. Soon, everyone's gazes landed on the grass. In the grass, a blue-haired youth was sleeping peacefully on grass. His breathing was even. He fell asleep again. Those from the sky-rich Imperials exclaimed, but they didn't find it strange. They had gotten used to Zhao Feng's habit of sleeping over the past 20 days. Who is he? Princess Jin's expression was calm, but it wasn't hard to guess her displeasure from the coldness in her voice. Any young genius would feel uneasy when meeting the legendary Princess Jean of the Cloud area. They couldn't lose their manners. But this young guest actually fell asleep when he saw Princess Jean. Within the villa, some of the elites of the Dragon-Killing Alliance were dumbfounded. Tisk, it's the first time I've seen someone fall asleep in front of Qianfeng's #1 beauty. Interesting. Princess Jean must be angry, but with her temperament, she won't show it. Everyone present was secretly talking to each other, waiting to watch a good show. Hee, ninth sister, this esteemed guest situation is a little special. The third prince smiled awkwardly and quickly explained. This is the first time I've seen such a distinguished guest. Although you're the royal highness of the Sky Abundant Imperial family, isn't it a little inappropriate to bring a person of unknown origin into the core base of the Dragon-Killing Alliance? Princess Jean was still gentle and dignified, but the questioning in her tone caused the atmosphere to become tense. Clearly, in terms of status, Princess Jean was higher than the Third Highness. The crowd did not find it strange. Princess Jean was the #1 genius of the Sky-Rich Strong country and had even participated in the sacred True Dragon gathering. Not only that, she was also the last disciple of Su Lao. In terms of talent and cultivation, Princess Jean had reached the true human rank and was less than 20 years old. In the Cloud area, she was definitely a prodigy. Ninth sister, Brother Zhao was the #1 genius of the 13 countries and helped us escape. Cold sweat appeared on the Third Highness' forehead. Although Princess Jean was his sister, the latter was very talented and was chosen by the #1 sect of the Sky Wind Pavilion in the Sky Rich country. In the imperial family, Princess Jin's identity was extremely special. She was both a princess and a once-in-a-century genius of the Sky Wind Pavilion. She was the link between the imperial family and the clan. In the eyes of the experts of the clan, her importance was even greater than the late monarch of the Sky Rich country. At this moment, facing Princess Jin's questioning, the Third Highness felt a mountain of pressure. With his understanding of the ninth sister, she was definitely angry and unhappy. Even old Jiang, who was in a brown robe, broke out in cold sweat. While the highest leader of the alliance, Su Lao, was in seclusion, Princess Jean, his last disciple, was his spokesperson. As for what was happening in the outside world, Zhao Feng didn't feel anything. As long as there wasn't any intense commotion or killing intent, Zhao Feng wouldn't easily wake up. This sleep was indeed different from the last time when the god's spiritual eye changed. Someone settled down this person and cat. Without my permission, no one is allowed to come close. Although Princess Jean looked gentle, she was very decisive when she gave orders. As soon as she finished, so, 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 several figures quickly closed in and surrounded Zhao Feng and the little thieving cat. Jean, don't. Old Zhang's expression changed dramatically, and he quickly stopped her. He knew that the youth in front of him was a true mystic rank expert with unfathomable strength. Because he was in a deep sleep, Zhao Feng's aura was extremely weak, which was why it wasn't easy to detect. At this moment in time, the atmosphere became solemn. Old Jiang and the Third Highness tried their best to protect Zhao Feng and stop Princess Jin's orders. You're all going to stop my orders? Princess Jin's expression went cold. She didn't expect this either. Why would old Jiang and the Third Highness protect a youth of unknown origin and even bring him into the core stronghold of the dragon-killing alliance? Meow meow. The little thieving cat bared its fangs and waved its paws as it sat on its master and looked around at the members of the dragon-killing alliance. This cat. Princess Jean suddenly felt that it was familiar. The little thieving cat in front of her matched with a scene from the sacred true dragon gathering in her memories. Little thieving cat, blue-haired youth. Princess Jin's eyes turned and inspected the blue-haired youth's appearance for the first time. Before, Zhao Feng was sleeping on the ground with his back facing her, so Princess Jean could only see a rough outline. It's him. Looking closely, Princess Jin's heart suddenly jumped. But how is he here? Her face was filled with joy, and she couldn't help but stare at the sleeping blue-haired youth. The 360-degree turn left the crowd dumbfounded. Their jaws almost dropped to the ground. Just a moment ago, Princess Jin's expression was tight in anger. But in the blink of an eye, Princess Jin's attitude had changed so much that no one could understand it. It was said that women were fickle and their hearts were like needles at the bottom of the ocean. At this moment, everyone felt it. Princess Jin's face was slightly red and filled with joy and excitement. Her expression couldn't help but contain the respect from the bottom of her heart. There was even a rare girlish worship and warmth. The Third Highness' mouth opened wide. He suddenly found that he didn't understand this ninth sister that he had known for so many years. This was the first time he had seen such girlish warmth on Princess Jin's face. What secret does this Zhao Feng have to make the former #1 beauty of the sky-rich country like him? The elites present couldn't describe what they were feeling at this moment. The blue-haired youth in front of them seemed to have a magical power. Even in a deep sleep, he was able to make everyone's goddess like him. Even old Jiang, who had seen many things, was slightly surprised. Old Jiang, brother Third King, you were able to bring him to the dragon-killing alliance. Is this the blessing of the heavens? Princess Jean took a deep breath. Her heart was still beating rapidly. Her beautiful eyes almost stayed on the blue-haired youth and couldn't move away for even an instant. Then, everyone saw Princess Jean lift Zhao Feng up and take care of him herself. She ordered people to carry him to the bed and even took care of him herself. Inside the village, the elites of the dragon-killing alliance couldn't believe their eyes. The goddess in their hearts, the #1 genius of the sky-rich country, Princess Jean, was so humble to take care of a youth of the same age. Zhao Feng smelled a faint fragrance in his sleep. He couldn't help but flip over and sweep his hand across Princess Jin's butt. Princess Jin's face was as red as blood. She quickly placed Zhao Feng in a clean room before getting up to leave. Before leaving, she looked back at the sleeping Zhao Feng. There was a sliver of warmth and infatuation in her gaze. A while later, in a building within the village. Ninth sister, when did you meet Brother Zhao? The Third Highness asked impatiently. At this moment in time, the flames of gossip burned in everyone's hearts. Even old Jiang couldn't help but be curious. In everyone's heart, Princess Jean had always admired herself and thought her talent was higher than the heavens. When had she ever put any of the young geniuses of the cloud area in her eyes? I know him, but he might not know me. Princess Jean sighed. At this moment in time, many scenes flashed through her mind. The beginning of the scene. Princess Jean was in the ancient arena and seemed so insignificant in front of the several thousand geniuses from all over the continent. She was only at the beginning stages of the true human rank and was at the bottom of the sacred true dragon gathering. Compared to the dazzling stars, she was so ordinary. She couldn't even compare to the overwhelming prodigies of several eras. In the crowd, she looked up at the five heavens prides as they performed one exciting battle after another, pushing this era to the peak of a golden age. There was no suspense at all. She lost the first battle. In the second round, she lost again. She lost again in the third. She did not even make it past the first round of the 5 regions competition. She was severely injured midway and could not continue. Of course, she wasn't willing to give up. Even if she was eliminated, she wanted to see the battle between the geniuses of this era. The sacred true dragon gathering continued until she saw a dazzling star, the king of the new stars and the unparalleled dark horse, killing miracles and becoming the new, overwhelming prodigy. That youth had a head of blue hair and had a little cat next to him. He attracted the attention of everyone and spread their passion to every corner of the ancient arena. Reversal, miracle, undefeatable. That youth was reaching the peak step by step, unknowingly, when her eyes became moist and she couldn't help but shout for him. No one knew. At that pinnacle event, the man and the cat had won so many cheers and moved people, as well as so many fans and supporters. The speed of thought was only an instant. Those scenes flashed through Princess Jin's mind. She had never thought that one day she would be able to meet this godlike young man in such close proximity and watch his every breath and every breath he took. Chapter 448. Within the building of the villa, Princess Jean woke up from her memories and her eyes became clear again. However, what awaited her was the fiery gazes of the crowd. Ninth sister, how do you know this Zhao Feng? The third highness couldn't help but ask. 2 years ago, Zhao Feng escaped with the identity of the number 1 genius of the 13 countries and was hunted down. Logically, Zhao Feng and Princess Jean shouldn't know each other. It was fine if they knew each other, but why did Princess Jean say that she knew him, but he might not know her? This Zhao Feng has reached the true mystic rank at such a young age. It's hard to imagine that such a genius came from a cloud area. Even across the continent, he's a rare prodigy. Elder Jiang couldn't help but sigh. Princess Jin's eyes twinkled, but she didn't immediately reply. If the world knew that Zhao Feng was one of the top overwhelming prodigies of the sacred true dragon gathering, what kind of shock would it bring to the cloud area? The people of the clan world knew that the cloud area was just a poor place in the entire continent. In the past, it was a great honor for the cloud area to send a few representatives to the sacred true dragon gathering. After careful consideration, Princess Jean made a decision. I've seen Zhao Feng in the sacred true dragon gathering. His performance was indeed shocking, and he's considered a top genius in the sacred true dragon gathering. Princess Jean smiled warmly. She had hidden Zhao Feng's shocking achievements in the sacred true dragon gathering. The reason she hid it was because of Zhao Feng's safety. Although Zhao Feng was strong and talented, he was still a genius of the younger generation. If the Iron Dragon Alliance knew that there was such an overwhelming prodigy amongst their enemies, they would probably panic and kill him at the cradle. Princess Jin's thoughts were correct, but she didn't know what kind of leap Zhao Feng had made after entering the inheritance. She didn't enter the sacred true dragon hunter top and was unable to enter the inheritance, which was why she was able to return to the cloud area so quickly. So that's how it is. This Zhao Feng also participated in the sacred true dragon gathering. Everyone in the pavilion came to a realization. No wonder Princess Jean knew Zhao Feng. However, everyone was still confused as to why Princess Jing would be so excited after recognizing Zhao Feng. Her reaction was truly out of the ordinary. Elder Jiang could faintly guess that Zhao Feng's performance in the sacred true dragon gathering had exceeded his expectations. After all, his cultivation was there. He was certain that Princess Jean was hiding some secrets. But since Princess Jean wasn't willing to say, they couldn't keep asking. In the blink of an eye, 5 or 6 days had passed. Zhao Feng spent most of his time in deep sleep. Princess Jean stayed next to Zhao Feng and took care of him. She would occasionally play with the little thieving cat. During this period, Zhao Feng had woken up a few times. His left eye had a hint of blue luster, which was refreshing. Compared to the sacred true dragon gathering, the coldness in Zhao Feng's left eye had melted and became as gentle as water. This aura was very close to Princess Jin's law of water. His dreamy blue hair had a deeper luster, as deep as the sea. Every time Princess Jean looked at him, her consciousness seemed to fall into a bottomless abyss. This was a godlike youth. His eye bloodline had become a legend in the sacred true dragon gathering and was full of mysteries. However, what disappointed Princess Jean was that every time Zhao Feng woke up, he would only wake up for a short period of time before going back to sleep. Furthermore, when he woke up, Zhao Feng's expression was lazy, and he obviously didn't know Princess Jean. It was as if he was talking to a passerby. Princess Jean was disappointed, but this was all within her expectations. It was reasonable. She must have waited too long. Zhao Feng, my master, will come out of seclusion in a few days. He's the leader of the Dragon Killing Alliance. I look forward to meeting you then. Princess Jean had a faint smile and quickly told him the news. Hearing this, Zhao Feng's eyes narrowed and he nodded his head. Even though he had spent most of his time in deep sleep, he was very clear about the purpose of this trip. One of Zhao Feng's goals in staying in the Sky-Rich country was to meet Old Su. Zhao Feng calculated that he would only need to sleep 2 or 3 more times before he could see Old Su. Soon, Zhao Feng went back to sleep. Princess Jean sighed and walked out of the building. The little thieving cat behind her smiled. She knew that with the little thieving cat protecting him, there was no need to worry about Zhao Feng's safety under normal circumstances. Late at night, the mountain at the bottom of the abyss was covered in mist and cold air. Hu Chiu. The sound of something flying through the air suddenly sounded. Whoosh. A fierce and frightening wind pressure fell from the sky like a huge mountain, like a raging wave beating against the shore. Numerous phantom-like afterimages flashed through the sky, and they were accompanied by a wave of strange laughter that rose and fell, causing one's hair to stand on end. Enemy attack. The guardian knight hiccuped, and his breathing seemed to stop. He gathered all his strength and barely spat out 2 words. Not good. Enemy attack. The tranquil villa and the misty moonlit night were immediately broken by urgent shouts. Princess Jin's heart jumped, and she raised her head. The moonlit sky was covered by a dark gray net. The dark gray net was controlled by 36 figures wearing skull masks. It covered an area of 1 mile and descended from the sky, forming an iron net that looked like a dark cloud above the villa. Damn it. This is the famous Iron Cloud Death Net of the Iron Dragon Alliance. It was created by True Lord Tai Xiao and is used for night attacks to kill experts in an area. Princess Jin's expression changed and her face went white. The Iron Cloud Death Net was a special killing array that usually required 1 or 2 true human ranks to control and 34 experts at the 6th or 7th sky of the Ascended Realm to form the array. The specialty of this killing array was that it formed extremely quickly. Although it didn't have much killing power, it was like a prison that made it hard for those trapped to escape. At this moment in time, the Iron Cloud Death Net had already condensed into shape in the sky above the mountain villa. The flickering gray net became colder and colder. Ha ha ha! The Iron Cloud Death Net has formed successfully. Under the Death Net, everyone is a bird in a cage. Remnants of the heavenly abundance 7 sects surrender now. A fat bald man in a dark red robe was leaning against a mountain wall in the distance. His face was oily and he was unusually excited. Core Elder, I didn't think that we would find the Dragon Killing Alliance's core stronghold while chasing that blue-haired youth. This is a great chance for the 18th Palace to make a great contribution. Almost all of us have come out for this mission and set up the Iron Cloud Death Net. Even if the Dragon Killing Alliance's old monster Su was here, he wouldn't be able to escape. Silhouettes of all shapes and sizes appeared on the mountain walls. They were fat, skinny, ugly, short, and short. There were 3 or 4 auras at the true spirit realm, and more than a dozen at the half-step true spirit realm. This didn't even include the 2 at the true spirit realm controlling the iron cloud death net. Everyone looked at the fat baldy in the dark red robe as their leader, and they were filled with respect. After a short period of chaos, the elites of the dragon-killing alliance quickly formed a defensive formation. However, most of the people revealed expressions of despair. The Iron Dragon Alliance had used the power of an entire sub-palace to attack this place. More terrifyingly, they had even formed the Iron Cloud Death Net. Once the Iron Cloud Death Net is formed, those under the true mystic rank won't be able to escape. Elder Jiang, Third Highness, and company had ashen expressions as they formed a defensive formation with the members of the Dragon-Killing Alliance. Everyone, don't panic. If we work together, we still have a chance. I believe that Old Sue will soon come out of seclusion and help us defeat the enemy at the critical moment. Princess Jin's soft voice echoed across the battlefield. The most urgent matter. She needed to stabilize the morale of the army. Only then would there be a possibility of a battle. Hearing the name of Old Sue, everyone's hearts calmed down and their eyes lit up with hope and fighting spirit. The 18th Palace of the Iron Dragon Alliance has come out. The 18th Core Elder is famed for his cunning and schemes. He specializes in defense and fights of attrition. Princess Jean inspected the enemy's formation and couldn't help but feel bitter. The Iron Dragon Alliance had a total of 36 Core Elders that controlled the 36 sub-palaces. The Core Elders were the pillars of the Iron Dragon Alliance, and each of them could intimidate a faction. Most of them were at the true mystic rank or above. Some of the true mystic rank members might not even be able to become a core elder. There are 2 experts at the true mystic rank and above. Old Sue is recovering, and his strength has dropped to the true mystic rank. The other is sleeping. Princess Jean couldn't help but analyze their battle power. Firstly, the Dragon-Killing Alliance didn't have any advantage in terms of high-end battle power. Secondly, the Iron Dragon Alliance had more than half the number of true human rank experts than the village. What was even more terrifying was that the Iron Dragon Alliance had launched a night attack to gain the initiative. They had set up the Iron Cloud Death Net, and as time passed, more and more reinforcements would arrive. However, the 18th Core Elder specialized in attrition. Brothers, seal the village. Don't let even a fly escape. Once we take down the village, you can play with that princess. On the mountain wall, the fat on Fatty Nyen's face trembled slightly. His lustful eyes swept over Princess Jean in the villa. As soon as he said this, the members of the Iron Dragon Alliance rubbed their fists in excitement and licked their lips. However, the 18 Core Elders weren't in a rush to attack, and instead focused on surrounding the village. The longer we delay, the better it is for us. If the people in the village want to escape, they have to break out. All we need to do is wait. The fat baldy leaned against the mountain wall. Although he seemed lascivious, there was a calm look in his eyes. His spiritual sense was searching the village. The person called Zhao Feng was a blue-haired youth who was said to be at the true mystic rank. He was obviously prepared. Kill! Kill! Princess Jean, Elder Jiang, and the other true spirit realm experts tried to break out of the village. Ding! 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 The dark gray net in the sky was like a dark cloud that created sparks. Those at the true mystic rank might be able to break a small hole, but the dark gray net was quickly repaired by the array. Plop! 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 In the first charge, the Dragon-Killing Alliance only had 4 or 5 corpses. On the other hand, the Iron Dragon Alliance only had 1 casualty. The Iron Cloud Death Net was like an impregnable city. If one wanted to break out, they would have to pay a heavy price. The hearts of Princess Jean, Elder Jiang, and the other true spirit realm experts dropped. Chapter 449. In the air above the village. The dark gray net was as thin as a spider's web, and it gave off a metallic coldness as it extended to a radius of 1 mile. The net that the 36 experts of the Iron Dragon Alliance had created made it so that everyone in the villa below was like a bird in a cage, unable to escape even if they had wings. The expressions of the members of the dragon-killing alliance were gray, and their hearts were filled with despair. The power of the ironclad death net was even more terrifying than they had imagined. The first round of attempts to break out had ended in failure. Right now, the cloud area belongs to the Iron Dragon Alliance. The longer this drags on, the smaller the chance of escaping. Princess Jin's heart was burning with impatience, but she had to maintain her calm on the surface. However, the Iron Dragon Alliance had the advantage, but they didn't rush to attack. It was obvious that they wanted to kill everyone in one fell swoop. The eyes of the 18 Iron Dragon Corps Elder, the Fat Baldy, were squinting and occasionally flashed with coldness. If the survivors of the Dragon-Killing Alliance want to escape, they can only forcefully break out. I'll defend instead of attacking. The Fat Baldy leaned against the wall of the mountain, his smile full of sinister and cunning. Of course, while he controlled the situation, he didn't forget to release his spiritual sense to search for the village below. His target was the blue-haired youth that was suspected to be called Zhao Feng. If it wasn't for the fact that the upper echelon of the Iron Dragon Alliance had issued a rank 1 killing order, he wouldn't have used all the power of the 18 sub-palaces. In reality, according to past experience, the peak power of a sub-palace wasn't enough to carry out a rank 1 killing order. The Fat Baldy's spiritual sense locked onto a room within the village. Within the room, a blue-haired youth was sleeping peacefully. Next to him was a cat that was napping. The killing atmosphere outside didn't seem to affect this person and cat at all. The Fat Baldy couldn't help but reveal a weird expression. Such a young youth was the target of a rank 1 killing order? Everyone, once the Dragon-Killing Alliance breaks out of the encirclement, prepare to defend and kill. The 18th Corps Elder took back his spiritual sense and had a smile on his face, as if victory was already in his grasp. He didn't act rashly and continued to use the ironclad death net to defend. This was obviously the most stable strategy, and it could use the smallest price to obtain the greatest result. Kill. The Dragon-Killing Alliance launched a second wave of attacks, and their attacks were even more ferocious. However, they were met with a frenzied counterattack from the Iron Dragon Alliance, leaving behind a dozen or so corpses. The gray net that permeated the air above the manor quickly repaired itself, as if nothing had happened. In the villa, apart from Princess Jean and Elder Jiang, there was another middle-aged man in gray. That was to say, the Dragon-Killing Alliance only had 3 true human rank experts. Princess Jean, if old Sue still doesn't make a move, then even if we manage to break out of the encirclement, it will be difficult for us to escape death. The 18th Corps Elder of the Iron Dragon Alliance has yet to make a move. The true human rank gray-robed middle-aged man wiped the blood from his mouth and bitterly shook his head. Once a true mystic rank's power interfered, the situation would change. Jing-er, quickly get old Sue out of seclusion, or the consequences will be unimaginable. Elder Jiang couldn't help but urge. Princess Jean cursed inside. Her master was at a critical moment in seclusion. If he came out in a rush, it would have a great negative impact on his foundation and injuries. Just as Princess Jean was in a dilemma, an old roar came from the depths of the villa. Jing-er, don't panic. Your master will come out immediately. The voice was deep and deep, as if it came from the other side of the ocean. Woo, a fierce sandstorm blew around the villa, and a scarlet-green light appeared in the clouds. The heaven-earth yuan chi trembled and resonated with it. The aura caused the 18th Iron Dragon Corps Elder's expression to change and his heart to skip a beat. True Lord rank. Is old Sue of the Dragon-Killing Alliance really here? The true spirit realm experts of the Iron Dragon Alliance started to panic, but they weren't scared of normal true Lord ranks. Whoosh! Amidst the howling sandstorm, a white-browed old man in a green robe floated into the air above the villa, surrounded by a layer of green and red flames. Crack! The old man waved one of his palms. It was as if there was a blazing sun that emitted a dazzling and scorching red sunlight. It tore open a hole that was nearly 100 feet in diameter in the dark net that was like a dark cloud. Old Sue. Old Sue has come out of seclusion. Cheers came from the villa. The newcomer was the spiritual leader of the dragon-killing alliance, Old Sue, one of the few true lord ranks in the cloud area. This Sue Tianshan used to be the Grand Elder of the Sky Wind Pavilion and led the Sky-Rich Seven Clans to fight against the Iron Dragon-strong country for many years. If it wasn't for the fact that he's heavily injured and his strength has dropped to the true mystic rank, we would probably have to run. The true spirit realm experts of the Iron Dragon Alliance were shocked, but they also felt lucky. Ha ha! Su Tianshan, let this elder see how much battle power you have left. The fat baldy let out a long laugh, and a dark white bone sword appeared in his hand. Whem! A layer of dark and gloomy flame patterns appeared on the surface of the bone sword, adding a bit of coldness and evilness to it. Evil sword, burning prairie. The 18th Core Elder's white bone sword spun. All of a sudden, a gust of violent and sinister sword chi astral wind, accompanied by red and green flames, rushed down to the villa below, as well as to the elder. The fat baldy's attack was extremely subtle and didn't just target Old Sue, but the other members of the dragon-killing alliance. Shameless bastard. Old Sue roared as his sleeves fluttered and created a whirlpool of scarlet-green light. The scarlet-green light quickly expanded and absorbed the fat baldy's attack so that it wouldn't affect the other experts in the villa. The battle power of the two was at least close to the peak true mystic rank. The shockwaves from their battle would threaten those at the true human rank and cause unimaginable damage to those below the true spirit realm. In order to avoid this, Old Sue could only use more Yuan Qi, and his Qi of true spirit released a shocking aura. Bam! Bam! Boom! Old Sue and the fat baldy exchanged a few blows in the air above the villa. In this period of time, the fat baldy's cunning attacks were all seen through and blocked by Old Sue. However, Old Sue expended more Yuan Qi because of this. Bam! 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 The scarlet-green flaming light turned into a beam of light that shot into the sky and pierced through the iron cloud death net. Bam! The 18th Elder, the fat baldy, groaned as he was pushed back dozens of yards and blood leaked from his mouth. No wonder he's at the true Lord rank. Even though his strength has dropped, I can't beat him alone. The fat baldy wasn't surprised. Seeing the 18th Elder retreat, the members of the Dragon-Killing Alliance exclaimed in joy. Everyone, Old Sue organized the members of the Dragon-Killing Alliance. Princess Jean suddenly thought of something and ordered people to carry the sleeping Zhao Feng over. Zhao Feng was still sleeping soundly in the midst of the fighting outside. On the other hand, the little thieving cat's eyes spun as it inspected both sides. Prepare to break out. Princess Jean protected Zhao Feng and followed Old Sue to break out. With the help of Elder Sue, the impregnable iron cloud death net was instantly torn open a couple of large holes. To this, the 18th Elder laughed and didn't panic at all as he said, "What are you waiting for? How long do you want to wait? Hee hee, this battle is so boring. I'm about to fall asleep." A delicate girl's laughter pierced through the night sky. Shwa! In the night, a slender and hazy shadow appeared on a big tree in the villa. Who's there? The hearts of the Dragon-Killing Alliance members shook as their footsteps froze, and they all turned around. At some point, a mysterious woman had appeared behind the crowd. She had a beautiful and hazy figure, and she wore a pure black dress that seemed to blend in with the night. No one knew when this mysterious girl had snuck into the village. Even Old Sue didn't notice her. "It's you, the 10th Core Elder of the Iron Dragon Alliance." A light flashed in Old Sue's eyes as he recognized the newcomer. It was obvious that they had met before. The 10th Core Elder. Both friend and foe's hearts shook. Everyone knew that the Iron Dragon Alliance had a total of 36 Core Elders, and most of them were at the true Mystic rank. However, of the 36 Core Elders, the top 10 had terrifying methods that couldn't be measured by normal standards. The 10th Core Elder in front of them had reached the peak true Mystic rank. If it was in the sacred True Dragon gathering a few months ago, probably only Yu Qianhao would be able to fight her. Hehe. Su Tianshan, the scars caused by the encirclement back then are no longer there. It looks like you've recovered more than 30% of your battle power. The slender woman in the black dress chuckled and disappeared with a whoosh sound. Don't even think about it. Old Su roared as he appeared in front of Princess Jean with a flash of scarlet-green light. Shoo! Suddenly, a sharp dagger pierced toward Princess Jean. Precisely speaking, the target of the dagger was Zhao Feng, who was in front of Princess Jean. Ding! In that moment of danger, Old Su's finger blocked the dagger. Shua! The slender black dress girl disappeared in a flash and appeared behind Princess Jean in the next instant. Her dagger slashed forward in a straight line. This time, her attack covered Princess Jean, Zhao Feng, and Old Su at the same time. Killing intent. In his dreams, Zhao Feng barely managed to open his eyes, which were as blue as water. His deep blue hair undulated like ripples. Bam! Old Su's figure flashed over once again, and layers of scarlet-green light appeared around him as he helped Princess Jean and Zhao Feng take the attack head-on. Old Su. Master. Princess Jin's face was pale white and her eyes were red. This time, Old Su's chest was stained with blood and his figure shook. Su Tianshan, your flaws are still the same. If it wasn't for the fact that you were too kind, you wouldn't have been ambushed by us several years ago. The 10th Corps Elder, the slender woman, wiped off the blood on her short blade as a mocking sneer appeared at the corner of her mouth. At the same time, Zhao Feng, who was leaning against Princess Jean, barely managed to open his eyes. Perhaps it was because he was woken up by an external force, but the blue water in his left eye started to tremble unstably. It kept on changing between ice and water and would occasionally turn back into a dark azure light. Chapter 450. Zhao Feng's situation obviously caught the attention of both friend and foe. After all, he had the battle power of a true mystic rank and was the target of the Iron Dragon Alliance's Rank 1 bounty. However, Zhao Feng's tired state made others doubt if he could even stand. Zhezhe, our luck this time isn't just good. A heavily injured True Lord rank and an extremely weak True Mystic rank prodigy. The 18th Corps Elder, the Fat Baldy, floated into the air. He led a portion of the sub-palace forces and worked together with the slender woman to pincer Zhao Feng, Old Su, Princess Jean, and company. Su Tianshan, you're a true lord rank, but you're going to die in our hands today. The slender woman in the black dress wiped the sharp dagger in her hand. In reality, that attack just then had only caused some external injuries to Old Su, but it wasn't fatal. However, the slender woman already had victory in her hands because she had Old Su's weakness. Old Su's strength was unquestionable. Only the 2 Corps Elders working together would have the confidence to fight him head-on. However, Old Su had his misgivings. He could not ignore the life and death of the other people in the villa. If he fought, his hands and feet would be tied. However, what surprised the slender woman the most was Zhao Feng, the target of the Iron Dragon Alliance's Rank 1 bounty. Being a core member of the Iron Dragon Alliance, she knew what a Rank 1 bounty meant. Usually, a Rank 1 bounty required the threat of a true Lord rank and posed a great threat to the Iron Dragon Alliance's reputation. The target of a Rank 1 bounty is tired and has no battle power at all. The slender woman felt as if this wasn't real. In the face of a first-class arrest warrant, she was a little uneasy and needed to be prepared. However, the blue-haired youth in front of her didn't seem to have any ability to fight back and even needed the protection of a woman. How could a first-class wanted order be so easily obtained? The slender woman and the fat baldy looked at each other and were overjoyed. The reward for completing a Rank 1 bounty was extremely rich and was enough to make most true spirit realm cultivators' eyes go red. Jeaner, who's this youth? Old Su raised his eyebrows and asked with slight surprise. With his true Lord rank cultivation, it wasn't hard for him to see Zhao Feng's true cultivation. Moreover, the 10th Corps Elder's assassination target was also Zhao Feng. 10th Elder, Keep eccentric Du occupied for now. Let me kill this brat. Remember, capture and kill. The fat baldy's face was filled with joy. This Class 1 wanted order was a little special. It required the target to be captured alive. Oomph. I'll give you all the credit. How can it be so easy? I'll leave old Monster Sue to you. The slender woman ignored the 18th elder and charged at Zhao Feng and Princess Jean. The fat baldy gritted his teeth, but he could not disobey. The 36 elders of the Iron Dragon Alliance were ranked according to their strength and status. He had experienced the slender woman's strength firsthand and knew that he couldn't steal the credit. Su Tianshun, let's play again. The fat baldy's expression was dark as he waved his white-boned sword and sent out waves of deadly flames that clashed with old Su. As for the slender woman, her movements were unpredictable and she attacked Princess Jean and Zhao Feng again and again. However, old Su's cultivation level was still there, and he could see through the slender woman's movements every time. He fought against the 2 core elders alone. 10th elder, why don't we kill this old bastard first? That's also a great achievement. The fat baldy was a little annoyed and suggested, sure, this old bastard is big trouble. The slender woman's attacks suddenly split off and targeted old Su's weaknesses. Old Su had to protect Zhao Feng, Princess Jean, and block the 2 core elders at the same time. He felt bitter in his heart. If he was at his peak, he could instantly kill the 2 core elders, but his foundation had been injured and his strength had dropped to the true mystic rank. Master, Princess Jin's eyes became moist. Her gaze turned and looked at the blue-haired youth in front of her. Princess Jean sighed in her heart. If he could take out half of the sacred true dragon gathering strength, this situation could be easily resolved. Right at this moment, the blue-haired youth's figure moved slightly. The god's spiritual eyes, changed this time, seems to be different from before. Zhao Feng groaned and covered his left eye. The swelling pain was 10 times, or even 100 times stronger than usual, and it attacked his soul. If it wasn't for his strong will, he would have fainted long ago. Within the dimension of his left eye, the 99 Zhang coal pond had basically melted. Ripples appeared on the surface of the water, which was the deep blue color of the sea. However, this state wasn't completely stable. Every few moments, the tranquil water in the pond would turn into an icy pond, emitting a bone-chilling coldness. The god's spiritual eye's power changed between ice and water. That wasn't all. Every moment, a layer of azure light would appear on the pond, and its element would change again. Every time this happened, Zhao Feng's left eye would flash with an azure light. Your hair. Princess Jean suddenly realized that Zhao Feng's blue hair glowed with a green light for a moment. Meow meow. The little thieving cat looked at the change in Zhao Feng's eye and hair and revealed a weird expression before becoming thoughtful. What's going on? My god spiritual, I didn't change much this time, but it can change between ice and water and even return to its previous element. Zhao Feng found a pattern. Before the change, Zhao Feng's left eye and hair were azure. Just now, Zhao Feng's god spiritual eye had returned to its previous state. Ding ding bong 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 bong. Zhao Feng felt the battle around him. An elder with white eyebrows was doing his best to protect him. As time passed, old Su found it more and more difficult to deal with the 2 core elders at the same time. He had reached the limit of his heart power. At a certain moment, the attacks of the 2 core elders reached a peak and pushed old Su back several yards. Old Su was injured in many places because he was protecting Zhao Feng and Princess Jean. His old injuries suddenly acted up. Wah! Old Su spat out a mouthful of blood as he was pushed back. His face was pale. Master! Princess Jean screamed in pain. A good chance. The 2 core elders looked at each other with joy on their faces. Illusion sky void stab. The slender black-dressed female's figure suddenly flashed and became a blur. Whoosh! 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 A transparent blade appeared out of nowhere and slashed towards Princess Jean and Zhao Feng. The first to be hit was Princess Jean. The blade was hard to see with the naked eye. It was as if it came from the air and couldn't be dodged at all. Kill Princess Jean first, then capture Zhao Feng. The slender female's blurry figure merged into the moonlight, and her killing intent pierced into the soul. Princess Jean couldn't dodge or fight back against an attack of this level. Her face was pale. Jean, old Sue, who was knocked back, spat out a mouthful of blood. He staggered and couldn't help but cry out. Zhao Feng, who was leaning on Princess Jean, was expressionless. His face was still filled with fatigue and discomfort. A strange light flashed in the eyes of the 10th elder, who was charging over. Even in this situation, Zhao Feng remained unmoved, not a shred of fear in the slightest. If that's the case, the slender female's face went cold. The blade first cut towards Princess Jin's snow-white neck. At that moment, Princess Jean closed her eyes. Old Sue roared in anger. Helplessness was written all over his face. As for Third Highness and the others, their thoughts couldn't keep up. A crisp sound rang out amidst the moonlit night. Time seemed to stop at this moment. Zhao Feng was still exhausted. He leaned on Princess Jean and seemed to be half asleep. The slender female was only half an inch away from Zhao Feng and Princess Jean. They could feel each other's breathing. However, her steps froze. Crack! The slender female's short blade broke into two. Meow meow. The silver-gray thieving cat on his shoulder played with a dark, transparent dagger. As the dagger swayed, it left behind an illusory shadow blade light in the night. In a flash, the slender female's short blade was cut in two. Meow meow. The little thieving cat played with the dark, transparent dagger with a smug expression. How is this possible? My Twilight Night Blade is a rare middle-tier spiritual grade inheritance weapon. It's a treasure in the world of assassins. The slender female was dazed and couldn't accept this reality. What? The fat baldy's jaw almost fell off as he watched the slender female's Twilight Night Blade be cut in two by the little thieving cat's mysterious dagger. The illusion Sky Shadow Stab just now was the 10th Elder's famous skill. It was so fast that even normal true mystic ranks couldn't react. How could that thieving cat be so fast? In the time it took for a spark to fly, it had blocked the 10th Elder's assassination technique. What was even more unbelievable was that the dark, transparent dagger in the little thieving cat's hand was able to cut through a spiritual grade weapon like tofu. Even some true lord ranks would find it hard to do this. At this point in time, both friend and foe fell into a momentary daze. Little thieving cat, don't leak the aura of your weapon. Let me do it. Zhao Feng's face was full of exhaustion as he rubbed his temples. Back in the purple Saint Treasured Palace, when the little thieving cat obtained this mysterious inheritance weapon, even the purple Saint Partial Spirit panicked. Meow meow. The little thieving cat nodded its head and instantly put away the mysterious dark, transparent dagger. As soon as its words finished, Zhao Feng's tired body held onto Princess Jin's shoulder and slowly stood up. Ignorant brat. You don't even have the strength to truss a chicken and you still want to resist? The 18th Core Elder, the fat baldy, had a ruthless gaze as he recovered from his momentary shock. The cat's performance just then had indeed scared him. However, he soon saw that the little thieving cat's strength mainly came from the mysterious assassin weapon. Hand over the dagger. The black-dressed female recovered from the shock, and her face was filled with greed and joy. Think about it. If that mysterious dagger fell into her hands, what kind of legend would it create? Zhao Feng didn't bother with the two. He endured the exhaustion and slowly condensed the power of his god's spiritual eye. Zhao Feng's left eye flashed with a faint blue and then a bone-chilling coldness before flashing with an azure light. The three elements of ice, water, and wind changed and formed an unknown eye transformation. Chapter 451. Watch out. It's his eye bloodline. From afar, the 18th Core Elder noticed the weird change in Zhao Feng's left eye and couldn't help but warn the slender woman. Before the mission, they had obviously investigated the number one genius of the 13 countries. Amongst them, his eye bloodline was the most prominent trait of that genius. At this point in time, Zhao Feng's left eye started to change. Sometimes it was bone-piercing blue, sometimes it was as soft as water, and then it was as light as the wind. In this change, Zhao Feng forcefully suppressed the swelling pain in his left eye and barely managed to steady himself as he took a step forward. Zhao Feng, Princess Jean quickly helped Zhao Feng steady. Seeing Zhao Feng open his left eye, she was half happy and half worried. She had personally seen the power of this eye bloodline at the Sacred True Dragon Gathering, and it was probably even stronger than the three major eye bloodlines of the continent. However, in this state, could Zhao Feng still attack? The little thieving cat stood on his shoulder and didn't move, but its black eyes twinkled. Perhaps it was the only one who could understand the reason behind this. After returning to the cloud area, Zhao Feng pointed his spear at the Iron Dragon Alliance and even used himself as bait. However, at the same time, Zhao Feng wanted to keep some hidden cards like the Ice Imperial Spear and the True Lord rank Ghost Corpses. This was also why Zhao Feng stopped the little thieving cat from attacking and put away the mysterious assassin weapon. "Oomph, little cat, hand over that dagger." The greed and killing intent in the black-dressed woman's eyes became stronger. However, she didn't dare to ignore the change in Zhao Feng's eye bloodline. Zhao Feng suppressed his tiredness and opened his god's spiritual eye and circulated the power in the dimension of his left eye. The aura of the pond changed between ice and water, and there would occasionally be a wisp of the wind element. This change was the source of Zhao Feng's discomfort. In everyone's eyes, Zhao Feng couldn't stand still and needed Princess Jin's help. "With your current state? Let's see if your eye bloodline is faster or if my assassination technique is faster." A trace of cruelty flashed across the corner of the slender woman's mouth, and a sharp awl that was spinning at a high speed appeared in her hand. The blue-haired youth in his line of sight was still tired and lazy, appearing to be indifferent. However, his left eye had successfully locked onto the slender woman. The slender woman's heart skipped a beat. She felt a sense of uneasiness that came from her soul. In a split second, she made a decision. When Zhao Feng's left eye locked onto her, the slender woman had no way out. Phantom sky, phantom stab. The slender woman's figure blurred again. In the darkness of the night, only an illusory and transparent sharp blade shadow could be seen, as if it was born out of thin air, stabbing towards Zhao Feng's chest. At that moment, the nearby True Spirit Realm Masters, Old Su, Princess Jean, 18th Elder, Elder Jiang, all held their breaths. The slender woman's ultimate skill had once again appeared, and her speed and power had reached a peak. In the cloud area, it was extremely rare for someone under the True Lord rank to be able to block this move. Everyone even had the feeling that the sharp blade had already pierced through Zhao Feng's body and blood splattered everywhere. At this moment, Zhao Feng's left eye turned from ice to azure. His blue hair suddenly changed, and a layer of green appeared on it. Even the bloodline power in his body surged with a familiar azure hue that he hadn't seen in a long time. It's returned to the azure eye of the past. Zhao Feng's left eye contracted as he instinctively circulated the azure blood in his body and used a similar principle to the ice soul shooting line. Back when Zhao Feng had azure hair and azure eyes, his understanding of his eye bloodline was still shallow and had only reached the beginner level. At this moment, Zhao Feng returned to his familiar state, and he instinctively circulated his eye bloodline skill. In the moonlight, the illusory and transparent sharp shadow was about to reach Zhao Feng's heart. It was only an inch or two away. The heart was the source of the human body's life force. Once the heart was broken, even a true lord rank would die. The smile on the slender woman's face was cruel and mocking. Her countless experience in killing enemies told her that the assassination was a success. However, when the transparent shadow was half an inch away from Zhao Feng's heart, the smile on the slender woman's face suddenly froze, and she looked a little confused. Puffed. A translucent azure wind blade sliced through the slender woman's throat. The slender woman's blurry figure froze on the spot. On her snow-white neck, a smooth blood-red cut was left, and then the color became darker and darker. As the night wind blew, The sound of a head falling to the ground could be heard. Hiss! Everyone gasped as if they had just woken up from a dream. No one saw clearly how Zhao Feng made his move. More accurately speaking, he didn't even make a move. All he did was lock onto the slender woman with his left eye. Only old Su and a few others saw that Zhao Feng's left eye flashed with a cold azure light. This move is a bit like Princess Jean thought back to the sacred True Dragon gathering and the successor of the Tuoba family's eye bloodline. Tuoba Chi's heavenly piercing eye was the instant his eye bloodline opened, and an invisible blade instantly sliced toward its target. Because his eye bloodline had returned to the wind element, Zhao Feng copied the heavenly piercing eye and seemed to be very familiar with it. Plop! The slender woman's headless body fell into a pool of blood. She probably didn't even think that she would die to Zhao Feng's experimental eye bloodline. 10th Core Elder. Not far away, the 18th Core Elder, Fat Baldy, cried out involuntarily, his face ashen. He took in a cold breath, and his body shook. The Fat Baldy never would have thought that the peak true mystic rank slender woman would be killed in the blink of an eye. He suddenly felt slightly regretful. How could someone who was listed as a rank 1 killing order be easy to deal with? Why didn't he listen to the blood sickle slaughterer's warning? However, there was no medicine for regret. After finishing off the slender woman, Zhao Feng suppressed his exhaustion and locked onto the 18th Core Elder with his left eye. Mercy! The Fat Baldy's soul almost flew out of his body as he rolled on the ground. Coincidentally, at this moment, the power of Zhao Feng's left eye turned a bone-chilling blue. Eye soul shooting line. Zhao Feng's left eye condensed a transparent ray of light that instantly pierced through the 18th Core Elder's body and soul. The Fat Baldy's rolling figure seemed to turn to stone as a coldness seeped into his soul. In the next instant, the Fat Baldy's consciousness went black, and he fell into eternal sleep. His state was the same as Li Hong's back in the Purple Saint ruins. His consciousness had entered an endless hibernation. Even void god realms couldn't do anything about it. However, after finishing all of this, Zhao Feng's eyes narrowed twice. The 10th Core Elder has fallen. Oh my god, the 18th Core Elder's fate is unknown. The other true spirit realm experts of the Iron Dragon Alliance were the first to react. Their hearts went cold and they were scared out of their wits. Crack, crack, crack. Amidst the chaos and panic, the iron cloud death net that had shrouded the entire mountain villa was broken without any resistance. The experts of the Iron Dragon Alliance lost without even fighting. First, the true spirit realm leader ran away, then the entire formation collapsed. The members of the Dragon Killing Alliance were dazed and couldn't react in a short period of time. A few breaths ago, the Iron Dragon Alliance had pushed the entire village to the brink of death. However, in the blink of an eye, the Iron Dragon Alliance had collapsed. Everyone follow up with another attack. Old Su was overjoyed as he looked deeply at Zhao Feng and ordered the members of the Dragon Killing Alliance to counterattack. However, the miraculous youth that had single-handedly turned the situation around fell into a deep sleep once again. When he fell asleep this time, the situation was different from before. Zhao Feng's consciousness didn't fall asleep, and he could feel the pond in the dimension of his left eye. The pond was, in essence, Zhao Feng's eye bloodline power. The 99-yard pond started to ripple, and a mysterious whirlpool formed in the middle. With a thought, Zhao Feng merged his consciousness into the whirlpool. Zhao Feng felt as if the pond had become the center of his body. Under his instincts, the aura of the pond started to change, and it started to give off a cold blue aura from water to ice. This ability seemed to be an innate talent that couldn't be described with words. Immediately after, Zhao Feng controlled the whirlpool to contract and change. Shua! A gust of wind started to blow on the surface of the pond, and an azure light appeared. Wind creation. Looks like the god's spiritual eyes changed this time is indeed different from the past. Zhao Feng nodded his head. Firstly, the god's spiritual eyes changed this time wasn't a big leap. For example, last time, The god spiritual eye turned from azure to blue, and his hair turned blue. That was the big change. The change between ice and water didn't change the element. Zhao Feng could faintly feel that this small change was just a transition in preparation for the big change in the future. Although the god spiritual eye had only gone through a small change this time, Zhao Feng had gained a lot. His eye bloodline power had more changes and he could control it better. He didn't know how long he slept for. When Zhao Feng opened his eyes again, he felt that the pain from the god's spiritual eye had decreased by more than half. It seemed that the god's spiritual eye's change had passed the most critical stage. "You're awake." Princess Jin's soft voice sounded. Zhao Feng opened his eyes, sat up, and smiled faintly. "How long did I sleep for?" At this moment, Zhao Feng's hair was as blue as the sea, and his left eye was like a sapphire, giving off a gentle feeling. The coldness of the past didn't exist anymore. That intangible temperament seemed so gentle and refined, so charming. Princess Jean fell into a momentary daze. Her face went red and her heart jumped. She was used to the cold, wicked, and emotionless youth at the sacred True Dragon gathering. She never thought that the cold youth would have such a gentle and charming moment. You slept for half a month this time. I'll go tell Master." Princess Jean forced her emotions to calm down and was afraid that Zhao Feng would fall asleep again. "Don't worry, I won't fall asleep soon." Zhao Feng had a very clear understanding of his current situation. Moments later, in a secret room in the depths of a cave, Zhao Feng and Old Su sat opposite each other. Princess Jean poured tea for the two and left the secret room politely. She obviously knew that this level of discussion wasn't something she could participate in. "Zhao Feng, thank you for helping me. I didn't think that the little 13 countries would give birth to a genius like you. Of course, I know why you came." Chapter 452. Of course, this old man knows why you've come. After expressing his gratitude and admiration, Old Su quickly changed the topic and went straight to the point. He was obviously worried that Zhao Feng might fall asleep at any moment. Too much pleasantries would only waste precious time. "Oh, Old Su, please give me some pointers." Zhao Feng revealed some interest and was very satisfied with Old Su's style. Cough, cough. Old Su paused slightly and circulated his qi of true spirit to suppress his old injuries. At the same time, he inspected Zhao Feng, the overwhelming prodigy who had dominated the sacred True Dragon gathering several months ago. Princess Jean obviously didn't hide anything from her master about Zhao Feng's achievements in the sacred True Dragon gathering. Elder Su was quite shocked when he heard this shocking news. Even now, he still hadn't calmed down. Old Su gave Zhao Feng a deep glance and knew that prodigies like Zhao Feng, who had suppressed dozens of generations, would definitely control the fate of the continent in the future as long as they weren't killed. Maybe in the future, Zhao Feng would be on the same level as those legendary figures, such as the Scarlet Moon Religion Patriarch and Sword Saint Yuwuxia. Firstly, the Iron Dragon Alliance is our common enemy. I believe Brother Zhao won't doubt this. Old Su finally spoke, but didn't make a conclusion. That's right. Zhao Feng nodded his head faintly. From this, it could be seen how he pointed his spear at the Iron Dragon Alliance as soon as he returned to the cloud area. If I'm not wrong, you returned to the 13 countries to save your sect and your masters. Old Su said calmly. Zhao Feng smiled and nodded his head, signaling Old Su to continue. In reality, as long as one understood Zhao Feng's past and past, it wouldn't be hard to guess this. However, you're alone and want to use the Dragon Killing Alliance to understand and deal with the Iron Dragon Alliance. Therefore, you'll find us. Old Su smiled as he looked at Zhao Feng. This time, Zhao Feng didn't nod or deny it. Then, may I ask what suggestion Elder Su can give me? Zhao Feng smiled faintly. His sapphire left eye shone with a watery light, making him seem gentle and refined. Elder Su suddenly realized that he couldn't see through this youth, but he would not hide his thoughts. My advice to you is to leave Cloud City as soon as possible. Old Su's voice was harsh, but it did not lose its sincerity. Leave Cloud immediately. Elder Su's advice to Zhao Feng was only 4 words. Why? Zhao Feng was a little surprised. The most rational thing to do is to immediately return to the power behind you and cultivate in seclusion for several years. When you've truly matured, everything will change. At the very least, you have to be able to bring in enough reinforcements. Old Su said solemnly. Zhao Feng was stunned and could not help but ponder over the meaning behind Su Lao's words. Suddenly, he smiled in surprise and had a better impression of Elder Su. Old Su's words were straightforward and sincere. When he knew of Zhao Feng's glory at the sacred True Dragon Gathering, Old Su didn't ask him to join the Dragon-Killing Alliance, and instead urged Zhao Feng to leave the cloud area. It was obvious that Old Su was worried the new prodigy like Zhao Feng would die too early and leave regrets. Old Su just needs to tell me how to save the Broken Moon clan and the Iron Dragon Alliance's true strength. Zhao Feng didn't linger on this question and quickly changed the topic. Old Su wasn't surprised and smiled instead. How could a top prodigy like Zhao Feng give up so easily? However, Old Su was confident that as long as Zhao Feng was reasonable, he could convince him. You might not know this, but the 13 clans are not only part of the Iron Dragon Alliance in name, they also signed a blood pact 2 years ago. Blood pact? Zhao Feng's expression changed slightly. Back then, he was chased by Hai Yun Master and left the 13 countries in a hurry, so he didn't know the details of the surrender. Zhao Feng only knew that the Dark Serene Palace betrayed the 13 clans and seemed to have connections with the Scarlet Moon demonic religion. As for the other 12 clans, they all surrendered when true Lord Tai Shao arrived. Back then, at the Dragon Concealing Lake, the elders of the 12 clans all signed a blood pact and made their forces subordinate to the Iron Dragon Alliance. You should know the power of the blood pact. This is a power witnessed by the heavens and earth. Old Su sighed as he spoke up to hear. This means that even if I return to the Broken Moon clan, my master won't help me. On the contrary, my return will put him in a difficult situation. Zhao Feng's expression was solemn. That's right. If you want to save the Broken Moon clan, the only way is to attack the Iron Dragon Alliance's base. As long as the Iron Dragon Alliance is destroyed, the Blood Pact will lose its power. This is the simplest solution. Old Su couldn't help but look at Zhao Feng as he spoke up to hear. Directly attacking the base of the Iron Dragon Alliance and destroying it was a bold and unrealistic idea. The reason why Old Su brought up this unrealistic but only method was because he wanted Zhao Feng to back off. However, Zhao Feng's expression didn't change. When Old Su suggested this unrealistic method, his eyes seemed to move a little. After a moment of silence, how strong is the Iron Dragon Alliance? Zhao Feng finally asked the question he cared about the most. How strong? Old Su shook his head and smiled. The entire cloud area has 2 strong countries, 13 countries, and many clans. The Iron Dragon Alliance has the 4 palace lords, the 36 core elders, and many other experts. They can cover the sky in the cloud area, and their power has even spread to the surrounding strong countries. Furthermore, this is only the known forces. The Iron Dragon Alliance has the support of the Scarlet Moon demonic religion, but no one knows how many hidden forces and experts there are. The 4 palace lords and the 36 core elders. Zhao Feng's eyes flashed as he seemed to understand the upper echelon of the Iron Dragon Alliance. Not long ago, the 2 core elders of the Iron Dragon Alliance forced the Dragon-Killing Alliance to this level with just 2 sub-palaces. The 36 core elders each controlled a sub-palace. Above the sub-palaces were the palace lords. Each palace lord controlled 9 sub-palaces. Palace lords were definitely at the true lord rank. True Lord Tai Shao, who made the 13 clans submit, is one of the 4 palace lords of the Iron Dragon Alliance. Old Su briefly mentioned the 4 palace kings and the stronger core elders. 4 palace lords? What Zhao Feng really cared about was the 4 palace lords, which included the experts of the Scarlet Moon demonic religion. Half the time it took to make tea later. Thank you for your advice, Old Su. Directly attacking the Iron Dragon Alliance's Yellow Dragon lair is the only, simplest, and most direct way. Zhao Feng slowly got up with a smile. Old Su paused. Did Zhao Feng listen to his advice? But he felt that something was wrong. From the beginning to the end, Zhao Feng wasn't scared at all, and his tone was filled with confidence. Just as Zhao Feng was about to leave. Wait, you're not leaving the cloud area? Of course not. The blue-haired youth's footsteps paused. Have you already found reinforcements? Old Su guessed. I'm enough. Zhao Feng laughed and continued to walk away. What? Old Su was dazed as he pointed at Zhao Feng. His finger trembled slightly, as if he was so angry that he couldn't even make a sound. Arrogant. Too arrogant. Old Su took a deep breath and pointed at Zhao Feng. You're the strongest, overwhelming prodigy of this generation, but arrogance and ignorance will only push you into the abyss. Zhao Feng ignored him, his steps exuding an incomparably powerful will. Stop! Old Su roared as his white hair blew in the wind. The aura of a true lord rank resonated with the heaven-earth yuan qi and created a scene. The aura of a true lord rank. Although Old Su's strength had dropped, his mental energy level was still there. Hee, early stage true lord rank. Is this what Old Su was at his peak? The blue-haired youth in his field of vision smiled. At this moment, he seemed to have turned into a vast ocean and an unfathomable abyss. A wisp of indiscernible mental energy permeated the small secret chamber, giving the illusion that the entire space had been frozen. Old Su's body trembled. Under that aura, he felt a sense of pressure that made it difficult for him to move. This mental energy aura was stronger than any true lord rank he had seen before. The opponent's soul was so strong that it seemed to be able to contain a part of heaven and earth. Old Su's expression went from shock to fear, and then to joy and disbelief. Finally, Old Su looked deeply at the youth in front of him with shock and respect in his eyes. I didn't think that your cultivation had reached such a level. I've indeed underestimated your strength. However, Old Su also asked his own question. Your soul and cultivation are so strong that it should be easy for you to break through to the true Lord rank. Furthermore, you won't be able to shake the Iron Dragon Alliance with just your battle power alone. Zhao Feng smiled but didn't reply. If it wasn't for the change in his left eye, he should have broken through to the true Lord rank by now. Shua! Shua! A dark pearl appeared in Zhao Feng's hand, and he flicked it. In an instant, two dark figures gave off terrifying auras as they stood on either side of Zhao Feng. Within the mist, the two dark silver ghost corpses stood on either side of Zhao Feng like death guards. True Lord rank. How is this possible? Even strong countries and sacred lands can't raise a true Lord rank ghost corpse. Old Su's figure almost tripped as waves of shock appeared in his heart. Zhao Feng inspected the two dark silver ghost corpses with satisfaction. After being nurtured in the 10,000 ghost pearl for a month or two, the cultivation of the two ghost corpses was close to the early stage true Lord rank. This 10,000 ghost pearl was one of the gifts that the purple Saint Partial Spirit gave to Zhao Feng. This pearl was the sacred weapon of the 10,000 Ghost Emperor. In the past, the 10,000 Ghost Great Emperor had nurtured an army of 10,000 ghosts within this pearl and swept through all directions. With his own strength, he had annihilated a few two-star sections. Shua! The two true Lord rank ghost corpses were quickly put away. Old Su still hadn't recovered from his shock. It was obvious that Zhao Feng's shock had overturned his 100 or 200 years of experience. This is just the appetizer. When my eye bloodline fully awakens, anything is possible. Chapter 453. Within the secret room. After a moment of shock and fear, Old Su managed to regain his composure, but he couldn't help but feel defeated. Back then, he was one of the strongest experts in the cloud area and controlled a strong country with the power of a true Lord rank. He could affect the fate of the cloud area. In Old Su's eyes, the cloud country where Zhao Feng came from was just a small place. In his eyes, the Broken Moon clan was just a small clan. It wasn't hard to imagine Old Su's glory back then. In his youth, he was definitely one of the top prodigies in the cloud area. At this moment in time, Old Su experienced shock, doubt, defeat, and many other emotions. Admiration and respect appeared on Old Su's face as he looked at the blue-haired youth in front of him. This was a world where the strong ruled, regardless of age or age. Zhao Feng's achievements in the sacred True Dragon Gathering and his current strength made even Old Su, one of the strongest in the cloud area, look up to him. Thinking about the advice he gave to Zhao Feng not long ago, Old Su's face went red. Just the strength that Zhao Feng displayed was equivalent to at least 3 True Lord ranks, including the 2 Dark Silver Ghost Corpses. Old Su didn't doubt that Zhao Feng didn't have the strength of a True Lord rank since he could control 2 True Lord rank Ghost Corpses. Furthermore, reaching the True Lord rank wasn't difficult for Zhao Feng at all. Old Su, I'll return to the 13 countries after I sleep one more time. Zhao Feng's eyelids were slightly heavy. He estimated that he could hold on for another 4 hours before falling asleep again. Return to the 13 countries? What's the point of doing this? Old Su couldn't help but ask. The 13 clans were now subordinates of the Iron Dragon Alliance, and First Elder of the Broken Moon Clan and company had signed a blood contract. If Zhao Feng returned to the Broken Moon Clan, it would put First Elder in a difficult situation. I'm going back to the Broken Moon Clan to kill someone. Zhao Feng's warm eyes suddenly turned into a cold, killing intent that could make anyone at the True Spirit Realm tremble. The switch between ice and water was completed with just one thought. If you need any help, I and the Dragon Killing Alliance will do our best to assist you. Old Su sighed softly, knowing that he couldn't stop Zhao Feng. Whether it was because they were enemies or because Zhao Feng had helped them out, Elder Su was duty-bound to do so. Zhao Feng thought for a moment and gave 2 points. First, I hope that Old Su can help me find out the headquarters of the Iron Dragon Alliance, the distribution of forces, and the whereabouts of the Scarlet Moon demonic religion. Secondly, when I deal with the Iron Dragon Alliance, the Dragon Killing Alliance will clean up the mess and reshuffle the cloud area. Old Su wasn't surprised by the first point. The second point made Old Su's heart tremble. Zhao Feng's gaze was so distant. Before even attacking the Iron Dragon Alliance, he was already thinking about how to deal with the aftermath. This was especially so for Zhao Feng to say the word shuffle so casually. This made Old Su's heart skip a beat. He found it hard to estimate the foundation of this youth before him. Zhao Feng could have asked for reinforcements from the Canopy Great Country, but he didn't do so. After all, the cloud area was Zhao Feng's home. He decided to take care of it himself and not borrow the help of external forces. Unfortunately, I'm old and my foundation has been injured. I can only give you some help. Old Su was slightly ashamed and powerless. Furthermore, Zhao Feng was alone. Although he was surprised that Zhao Feng was strong, he still felt that Zhao Feng wasn't reliable. After all, the Iron Dragon Alliance was a monster that ruled the cloud area. Facing the human wave tactic of countless Ascended Realm experts and True Spirit Realm experts, wasn't Zhao Feng a bit too weak? Of course, what Old Su didn't know was that Zhao Feng had ignored the human wave tactic. And since Old Su is so considerate and didn't hesitate to use the Dragon Killing Alliance to help, I also have a token of appreciation. Zhao Feng gently touched the ancient metal ring. Wang, a drop of mysterious green liquid floated in the air and radiated a thick aura of life, as if it was a mother's body. This is the elixir of life? Old Su's heart shook before revealing an excited and joyful expression. The elixir of life was formed under extremely harsh conditions. It was almost impossible for it to form on the Azure Flower Continent. Zhao Feng's elixir of life was obtained from Yi Yanyu in the Purple Saint Ruins. The elixir of life was the essence of life from the life-returning grass. Zhao Feng had first traded for 2 drops of the elixir of life from Yi Yanyu, and then the little thieving cat's betrayal and the life-returning grass from Yi Yanyu. The life-returning grass was given to the towering tree Yao to recover from the heavy injuries left by the Void God protection. However, at the time, Zhao Feng had been a little careful, and he had taken away the remaining 2 drops of elixir of life from the life-returning grass. Therefore, Zhao Feng currently had 4 drops of the elixir of life. One of them had been reserved by the mysterious scarlet-haired elder from the Iron Blood religion to repay a favor. As for the remaining 3 drops, Zhao Feng planned to give one to Old Su. After all, Old Su was the leader of the Dragon-Killing Alliance. If he could recover to his peak strength, it would be of great help to Zhao Feng. Elixir of Life, looks like you must have returned from the inheritance. Old Su's voice trembled, and his face was filled with excitement. A legendary elixir like the Elixir of Life had long since disappeared from the Azure Flower continent. It could only be obtained from the outside world. Zhao Feng smiled and signaled Old Su to drink the Elixir of Life. Zhao Feng had seen Old Su's injuries through his god's spiritual eye. His injuries had seeped into a cultivator's source of true spirit. This kind of injury was extremely hard to recover from, and he couldn't rashly use his chi of true spirit, or else his injuries would worsen and even cause his cultivation to drop. However, Zhao Feng was confident in the effects of the Elixir of Life. In theory, even if a sovereign was heavily injured, the Elixir of Life would have a good effect. Old Su's face was full of gratitude, and he immediately sat down to recover. Half the time it took to make tea later. Old Su's chi of true spirit suddenly became stronger. Zhao Feng had a smile on his face as he saw Old Su's source of true spirit heal. In just this short amount of time, Old Su's source of true spirit had been mostly healed. He believed that in less than half a month, Old Su would be able to recover to his peak. Zhao Feng didn't stay any longer and left the secret room to return to his original place. 2 hours later. The next time I wake up, I'll return to the 13 countries. Zhao Feng closed his eyes tiredly. Under Old Su's orders, Princess Jean took good care of him. With her noble status and talent to participate in the sacred True Dragon gathering, taking care of a youth wasn't just condescending in the eyes of others, it was self-humiliation. However, Princess Jin's eyes were filled with joy. Her face blushed from time to time. There was a sliver of yearning. Towards this, many members of the Dragon-Killing Alliance, including Old Jiang and Third Highness, were puzzled. Of course, they didn't know Zhao Feng's true identity. In the blink of an eye, another half a month passed. The new stronghold of the Dragon-Killing Alliance was located near a deep ravine. At a certain moment, a shocking aura of true spirit appeared near this ravine, and all the heaven-earth yuan qi within dozens of miles resonated with it. The sky above his head was dyed with a layer of scarlet-green light, and the clouds roiled. The invisible mental pressure and heaven and earth phenomena made the hearts of the Dragon-Killing Alliance members jump. Many of them felt like they were suffocating. True Lord Rank Aura. It's completely the aura of a true Lord Rank. It's Old Su. Great. Could Old Su's injuries have healed? The members of the Dragon-Killing Alliance were overjoyed and celebrated. Only Princess Jean was slightly surprised. She knew Master's injuries the best, and they should have been almost impossible to heal. Why was Master able to recover his peak True Lord Rank aura in just half a month? Could all of this be? Princess Jin's eyes turned and landed on the sleeping blue-haired youth. The only person she could think of was this miraculous youth. Maybe it was because of the heaven-earth yuan qi resonating with him. But the blue-haired youth slowly opened his eyes. Old Su, congratulations on coming out of seclusion. Zhao Feng's light laughter sounded from near the ravine. Princess Jin's vision blurred, and Zhao Feng disappeared from her sight. In the next instant, on the peak of the ravine, a gentle youth with blue hair and an old man with white eyebrows and a green robe stood side by side, chatting and laughing with each other. Princess Jean looked at the scene on the peak and was shocked. She suddenly realized that she had underestimated Zhao Feng's level. Zhao Feng was only at the true mystic rank in the sacred True Dragon gathering. What level has he reached after coming out of the inheritance? Princess Jin's heart couldn't calm down. The sleeping youth that she always stared at seemed to be in the clouds and was filled with suspense. Congratulations on coming out of seclusion, Old Su. Near the ravine, the members of the Dragon-Killing Alliance bowed in the direction of the mountain peak and congratulated. It's all thanks to His Excellency Zhao Feng. He brought hope to the Dragon-Killing Alliance and I believe that his miracles will continue in the cloud area. Old Su's face was red as he slowly raised his hand and expressed his gratitude and respect to the blue-haired youth. The hearts of the dragon-killing alliance members below shook, including Old Jiang, Third Highness, and company who knew Zhao Feng. At the same time, dozens of miles away, in the sky filled with clouds, a dark red ship that was 10 to 20 zhang long floated in the air. It was surrounded by a layer of faint blood-colored wind, giving off a strange, gloomy pressure. I didn't think that old monster Su had already recovered to the true lord rank. A raspy voice sounded from the front of the ship. It was an ugly human that looked like a zombie. His entire body was covered in dark silver stripes, and his entire body flowed with blood. It was the Blood Corpse Protector. Palace Lord, we have the advantage in overall strength, and old monster Su has just recovered from his illness. He's definitely not your match. There were 2 or 3 true mystic rank experts near the front of the ship, and at least 10 true spirit realm experts. The Blood Corpse Palace Lord's eyes flashed with a blood-red light as he stared at the blue-haired youth next to old Su. It's indeed him. Palace Lord, let me deal with this Zhao Feng. A cold youth in black said in a low tone. He was one of the 3 true mystic rank experts in front of the Blood Corpse Palace Lord. This black-robed youth's eyes were deep and mysterious, as if they were a scarlet black abyss. He gazed at Zhao Feng on the distant mountain peak, his face surging with an irrepressible desire to fight. Lin Tong, if I remember correctly, your heavenly absent I lost to that brat at the alliance banquet of the 13 clans 2 years ago. A true mystic rank next to him joked. Hee, Lin Tong just returned from the Scarlet Moon inheritance not long ago. Even the Palace King is interested in his strength. Chapter 454. On the dark red ship, Lin Tong, wearing a black robe, became the focus of everyone's gazes. The experts of the Iron Dragon Alliance were curious about this new face with an eye bloodline. However, only a small number of people knew Lin Tong's background. Back at the 13 clan gathering, Lin Tong was one of the 4 stars alongside Song Yue, Suzy Xuan, and Ao Yuetian. At that time, Lin Tong's terror was deeply imprinted in the hearts of the younger generation. No one was willing to fight him. However, both Lin Tong and Song Yue, the number 1 female sword genius of the 13 clans, had become a supporting village. And that person was on a mountain far away. Zhao Feng. 2 years ago, I lost to you at the 13 clan gathering. Now that I've returned from the Scarlet Moon inheritance, I'll take back all the humiliation I suffered. Lin Tong stood at the bow of the ship. His eyes were crimson black and distorted, mysterious and deep. A cold, mental energy aura spread through the air and made the hearts of the experts on the ship go cold. At the same time, the Blood Corpse Palace Lord's gaze slowly retracted. He was now sure that Zhao Feng was that youth from back then. Facing Lin Tong's request to fight, the Blood Corpse Palace Lord shook his head. You're not his match. Lin Tong's expression froze, and his eyes were filled with surprise and unwillingness. However, the person standing in front of him was one of the 4 pillars of the Iron Dragon Alliance and a protector of the Scarlet Moon demonic religion. No one dared to question the Blood Corpse Palace Lord words. His experience and level exceeded the cloud area's understanding. Just as Lin Tong was about to speak, the blue-haired youth on the mountain turned his head and glanced in the direction of the ship with a smile that wasn't a smile. The experts at the true spirit realm were in the air, and their eyes were extremely sharp. Seeing this scene, their hearts shook. The youth's left eye was as deep as the ocean, blue, and as warm as water. Zhao Feng's actions attracted the attention of old Su. Looks like my aura at the True Lord rank was too high profile and attracted the attention of the Iron Dragon Alliance. Old Su sighed. Zhao Feng knew that this wasn't the only reason. After returning to the cloud area, he had brazenly issued a challenge to the Iron Dragon Alliance. The Blood-Scythe Butcher, the 18th Elder, and the 10th Core Elder had all fallen because of Zhao Feng. It wasn't surprising that Zhao Feng's threat and challenge to the Iron Dragon Alliance had attracted the attention of the higher-ups. What really surprised Zhao Feng was that he actually met more than one acquaintance this time. Zhao Feng naturally had a deep impression of the Blood Corpse Branch Protector. Back in the Scarlet Moon Cave, it could be said to be a thrilling battle of wits and courage. As for Lin Tong, he was a strong opponent during the 13 Clan gathering 2 years ago. The scene of Zhao Feng, Lin Tong, and Song Yue working together at the 13 Clans conference was still fresh in their minds. Old Su, lead the alliance members to retreat. I will play with them. Zhao Feng smiled faintly. When he woke up this time, the swelling pain in Zhao Feng's left eye was already very light. Within the dimension of his left eye, the water in the pond was 10 yards wide, and the ripples on the surface of the pond warmed his soul. Zhao Feng's eye bloodline power was even more refined than before, and his control over it had reached a whole new level. Okay, I'll be responsible for retreating. Be careful. Old Su had a certain level of confidence in Zhao Feng's strength and didn't object. After all, the forces of the Iron Dragon Alliance were extremely strong. Apart from Old Su, the rest of them might restrict Zhao Feng's movements. Shua! Old Su's figure flashed and disappeared from the mountain. His voice resounded across the mountain as he led the members of the Dragon-Killing Alliance to retreat. On the mountain, only Zhao Feng was left standing with his hands behind his back. His blue hair blew in the wind, and a faint smile appeared on his face. Palace King, the remaining members of the Dragon-Killing Alliance are retreating. There's still one more person. That brat's staying behind to cover their retreat. Chaos broke out on the dark red ship. Everyone from the Dragon-Killing Alliance was retreating, including the true Lord rank Old Su. Only the blue-haired youth remained at the peak of the mountain. He was calm and composed as he faced the people on the ship from afar. This scene caused Lin Tong's heart to skip a beat. At this moment, he couldn't see what level Zhao Feng was at, and the latter's aura was as deep as the ocean. However, just the boldness that the other party displayed was enough to make Lin Tong feel inferior. If they were in Lin Tong's shoes, he would naturally run as far as he could if he were to face such a situation. How would he dare to stay? On the other hand, his opponent from the past had calmly stayed behind to face the Iron Dragon Alliance. Lin Tong wasn't the only one who was moved by Lin Yun's boldness. The other experts on the ship were bewildered as well. One arrogant brat. He's like a mantis trying to stop a chariot. Palace King, let's start a lightning-fast battle and capture this brat. The remaining members of the Dragon-Killing Alliance won't be able to run far. Some of the true spirit realm experts on the ship were filled with killing intent after the surprise passed. Zhao Feng's arrogant actions enraged everyone from the Iron Dragon Alliance. However, the Blood Corpse Palace Lord's expression was dark and filled with killing intent, but he didn't immediately attack. Hee, Protector Blood Corpse, long time no see. How have you been? At the peak of the mountain, the blue-haired youth's laughter was as warm as the wind. It was so clear. At this moment in time, the Dragon-Killing Alliance was also retreating. Both friend and foe could hear Zhao Feng's voice clearly. What's going on? Zhao Feng and the Blood Corpse Palace Lord know each other? Both friend and foe felt that something was wrong. From Zhao Feng's tone, it seemed that he had interacted with the Blood Corpse Palace Lord before. Some even suspected that this seemingly young youth was an old monster that had been asleep for many years. On the ship, the gazes of the entire Iron Dragon Alliance landed on the Blood Corpse Palace Lord and waited for his orders. Old monster, Su has recovered his strength. It's not realistic for him to wipe out the remaining members of the Dragon-Killing Alliance. However, since this brat is the only one left, we'll stay and play with him. The Blood Corpse Palace Lord's raspy voice was extremely slow. The hearts of the experts at the true spirit realm shook. Those familiar with the Blood Corpse Palace Lord would know that this was a sign that he was about to go all out. The Blood Corpse Palace Lord was extremely vengeful. Once he had his eyes on someone, he would slowly torture his opponent bit by bit. However, wasn't it a bit too much to mobilize the top forces of 2 sub-palaces and a palace lord just to deal with a rising star? Zhao Feng, I admire your courage for daring to stay behind. However, you'll regret your decision for the rest of your life. The Blood Corpse Palace Lord waved the blood-colored flag. Whoosh! The dark red ship stirred up a violent blood-colored gust of wind as it charged toward the summit of the mountain fearlessly. Pass down my order. Capture Zhao Feng alive. The Blood Corpse Palace Lord stood at the head of the ship and didn't immediately attack. Even he couldn't see through Zhao Feng's mental energy aura from afar. Although he couldn't judge how strong Zhao Feng was, he was sure that Lin Tong wouldn't be his match. If it wasn't for the fact that he didn't have battle power close to the true Lord rank, how would Zhao Feng dare to stay behind? Understood. The 3 true mystic rank experts on the ship immediately obeyed. They didn't understand what enmity the Blood Corpse Palace Lord had with Zhao Feng for him to use such a large force just to settle a personal grudge. Palace Lord, I'll stall as I bloodline. Lin Tong volunteered. Everyone was familiar with the characteristics of a rank 1 bounty hunter. The fate of the 10th and 18th Corps Elders was proof of how terrifying Zhao Feng's bloodline was. This was why the Alliance had sent Lin Tong this time. So. With Lin Tong at the lead, the 3 true mystic rank experts flew off the ship and closed in on Zhao Feng. Looking down from above, one would see that the 3 true mystic rank groups had formed a semicircle around the mountain. Master. The Iron Dragon Alliance Palace Lord has moved out, but Zhao Feng is staying behind by himself. I'm afraid. Princess Jean looked back as she retreated. Seeing the blue-haired youth face off against the Iron Dragon Alliance's army by himself, she felt uneasy and couldn't bear to see him do this. Jeaner, don't worry. Zhao Feng is just playing with them, and I'll take care of him. Old Su smiled faintly. Playing with them? Princess Jin's eyes were full of surprise. She couldn't imagine that such words would come from her master's mouth. Right at this moment, the battle between the 2 sides was about to start. Scarlet Demon Moon Eye. Lin Tong was a few miles away. His eyes were twisted, and a blood-red crescent moon shape could be vaguely seen in them. Slaughter, blood, gloominess, brutality. All sorts of negative and dark auras seemed to be condensed in the faintly discernible blood moon in the pupil, transforming into an invisible force that could slash through the void. At this moment in time, the true spirit realm experts next to Lin Tong trembled. A blood-colored crescent moon pierced through the clouds and slashed toward the blue-haired youth in the air. Lin Tong's every action obviously didn't escape Zhao Feng's eyes. He had to admit that Lin Tong's bloodline had reached an unparalleled level in terms of skill and power. This Scarlet Demon Moon Eye was obviously a profound bloodline skill that gathered all sorts of negative mental energy into a power of the Tao of Blood that could corrode one's soul. If it was someone at the true spirit realm, or even some at the true mystic rank, their soul would be instantly shattered by this move. In terms of the power of his bloodline, Lin Tong was even on par with the 3 great eyes from the sacred True Dragon gathering several months ago. The successors of the sacred True Dragon gathering were on par. Shua, the Scarlet Demon Moon Eye's powerful mental energy blood moon slashed into Zhao Feng's soul and instantly corroded his mental energy world. Lin Tong and the other 2 at the true mystic rank revealed joyful expressions. Unexpectedly, Zhao Feng remained motionless on the summit. He didn't defend or retreat. What's going on? Lin Tong's figure suddenly froze. Soon after, the surprise on his face turned into intense shock and panic. The Scarlet Demon Moon just then was like a rock sinking into the ocean, not even causing a ripple. Zhao Feng completely ignored Lin Tong's attack. In the dimension of his left eye, the dark blue bloodline in the pond started to ripple and absorb the blood-colored crescent moon. The softest thing in the world was water. The power of water, encompassing and absorbing, was vast and boundless. Lin Tong's attack, just now, was like a pebble thrown into a lake. It didn't cause any harm to him. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.